Pure darkness, sparkleless, glitterless, imageless, but still infinitely limitless. Pre-Genesis, before man had crawled the land, before all you know even began. I think thoughts untranslated, I'm ungraded. My first rhyme had no words to say it. Force of the immaculate, you only exist cause I imagined it. It's litterist upon fathoming it. Accurate intellect, the weight of my brain tilts my neck. Obeying the will, I select my face so dark that it doesn't reflect. The beast in me only awakes at sunset. My life has no connect with hope in it. The blood I drink has extra pulp in it. I spit rhymes in the graveyard of my block. I get a rush, hearing niggas beat the coffin tops. I grow my own trees in the woods I'm from. I need branches to leave niggas hung. I'm running out of higher density, so the gun in my waist is the only thing holding me from floating into space. The rain of the Lord will snatch your life as off. Leave you looking permanently slow, like your eyes are crossed. Cause the law stays calm and peace-like. Depending what the beat's like, I may act beast-like. The rain of the Lord will snatch your life as off. Leave you looking permanently slow, like your eyes are crossed. The God stays calm and peace-like. Depending what the beat's like, I may act beast-like. I'm motherfucking faithless, atheist, racist, faceless, ageless, shapeless. Mind elevates into states I'm weightless. Spine shake when they in the wake of greatness. An animal, you're more afraid of me than I am of you. Black Hannibal, untangible. A great mind, created divine by Satan's design. Snake spine, devil's Frankenstein. You think it's just simple words, get your temple surge, get your mental purge, knock the life out your central nerves. It ain't a death I don't deserve, it ain't even a fit punishment for me to serve. My only need is L's to cook. I only read spell books. I decorate my room to imitate how hell looks. A bad lurking, a screen of mad vermin. The light don't pass between the black curtains. Friendless, supremacist, innerless. Mankind's arch nemesis, spiritless. Murdering from night to morn. I'm asleep by the first fucking sights of dawn. The rain of the Lord will snatch your life as off. Leave you looking permanently slow, like your eyes are crossed. Cause the Lord stays calm and peace-like. Depending what the beat's like, I may act beast-like. The rain of the Lord will snatch your life as off. Leave you looking permanently slow, like your eyes are crossed. The God stays calm and peace-like. Depending what the beat's like, I may act beast-like. I want the worst death man can feel. I ground metal cans in my meals. I swallow the pills without sales. Shit is real, 4 bill, 4 mil. Trying to civilize devilish man from Israel. That's my job as the Father and God. Overcoming obstacles with impossible odds. Paradise lost. Caveman kidnapped the stars and trying to move us back to Mars. Blind of our actual cause, but even the closed doctors still see black as our law. I made the first laws on this worthless ball. If I ever left the earth, then the birds would fall. I'm the God, I'm moved by the will of Allah. I'm protected from the rain by a ceiling of straw. Reading pages telepathically, my watch operates with dead batteries. To wake inside my own head baffles me. Gumar Asdabar's masterpiece, black as my sheet. He who feeds not having to eat. The rain of the Lord will snatch your life as off. Leave you looking permanently slow, like your eyes are crossed. Cause the Lord stays calm and peace-like. Depending what the beat's like, I may act beast-like. The rain of the Lord will snatch your life as off. Leave you looking permanently slow, like your eyes are crossed. The God stays calm and peace-like. Depending what the beat's like, I may act beast-like.
Darkness, 7 Priest, 7:30, a Demon Hunter. Yeah, let's fucking go. Hey yo, Life don't stop for nobody, I learned that quick at 14. Roaming the streets, took some hits. Look around, swivel on my head like bitch from The Exorcist. Exercise, some demons got rid of fake friends. Not a chance in hell, can we make amends? They respect the intellect, the talent. The wicker man empties the clips. The passion for my ambitions is penance. Retribution for my sins, no halfway crooks. Full-time films never gave no fucks. Full-time film, don't give me deceptive looks. Rule 1, no snitching. Even if there's a killing, some goons fail the mission. Others pay and are imprisoned. Streets is amazing, when you lost you can't get shook. Most men are hard to trust. Most women are only looking for big bucks. So I just bust my nut and tell them if they looking for love, you dead out of luck. Darkness, chill, the demon hunter.
Uphill. Let me try. Ah, so that's the guy, the Dunfield Hunter. I've heard about him.
If it wasn't for us, he'd be dead by now.
Hey yo, in front of the camera, fucking your bitch in the ass, hosting like Patrick Bateman, calling American Psycho, fuck you undercover rats that gave statements. In the basement, cutting niggas up into fragments. This is more than entertainment. This is the release of madness from the mental state. There isn't a weak link in the crew, even though I got loose screws. Foaming at the mouth like babies. 84 carnivore, eating fish like a diner party. I ain't here to dance and party. Scoping out the room so I can slice arteries. Most of these dudes artificial. I'm always official because I see this as an art form. Talking to myself at night like I had another face. Edward Moore Day, civilian passing by, yo, for God's sake. Corpse hanging from a fire escape. When I bring the inferno, no one will leave. Internals burnt to a crisp and steaming. A Filipino chick told me to whistle on a hot day. A breeze will hit your face, dicing your features at an insane pace. You lost large amounts of blood, looking like an albino. I was sick in the mind, even as an embryo, telepathically attacking anyone around my bush.
This nature of ours, but it got lost for LSD. The urge for their blood is stronger. If that day comes, then another one will be. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, check it. Demon hunt for religious texts carved in the chest. Holy water causing third degree burns of the flesh. Sacred relics full of pestilence that hangs on the neck. What we specialize in is creatures of the undead. Demon hunt for religious texts carved in the chest. Holy water causing third degree burns of the flesh. Sacred relics full of pestilence that hangs on the neck. What we specialize in is creatures of the undead. Yo, my body is covered with these bloody incisions. I've been acquainted with pastors that treat demonic conditions. A fully rusted rotating disc is placed in position to split my tongue down the center, splatter blood on your vision. I levitate from the bed, 360 spins on my head. I urinate on the carpet while mother's hosting her guest. I've got a message from your dead mother, she's burning in hell. Attracting flies to my body with split vomit and foul smell. Commanding hyenas to feast on your brother. You run for cover while they yank on his ligaments, causing vessel ruptures. I'm now speaking to the forces within of Osiris. They hear the name of Christ and forcefully act in compliance. I give you a dead stare, causing your teeth to fall. You really think that the exorcism will be my downfall? I think not, but I give you 2 props for trying to tame the unseen deity that's opposite from Allah. Demon hunt for religious texts carved in the chest. Holy water causing third degree burns of the flesh. Sacred relics full of pestilence that hangs on the neck. What we specialize in is creatures of the undead. Demon hunt for religious texts carved in the chest. Holy water causing third degree burns of the flesh. Sacred relics full of pestilence that hangs on the neck. What we specialize in is creatures of the undead.
Check. searching for adventure. Welcome to dementia. Live censure every message that he meant to. Envision this, your perimeters are limitless. 30,000 feet in the air, we're all there. Standard procedure, Linda Magnarita, find Reaper, hit the telly for some leisure. Relaxing, looking out over a saga, thinking of a line for a rhyme that'll rock ya. On stage, shock ya, jetting cause I got to hit Tokyo with another dark and lonely flow. Language barrier, like a carrier, aircraft. When I move my physical frame, you'll hear math. Numbers crunch your bones well, struggle through your own hell. Pray you weren't alone when your dome fell. Oh well, go and grab a mop for the body shop. And while you rot, the dead'll get the fuck up and walk. Strange things happen in the nighttime. When you leave your crib to come and hear a hype round. Enter show, so I've got you. Black Nosferatu, rock that has to sleep with the beat, then I'll chop you. Strange things happen in the nighttime. When you leave your crib to come and hear a hype round. Enter show, so I've got you. Black Nosferatu, rock that has to sleep with the beat, then I'll chop you. Let me lighten up, total eclipse, the universe flips. Sunken ships sink toward the sea's surface. 1,000 tales of those who failed but kept composure. Decomposure, bloated from exposure. The sun bust, you better duck, son. The government sunned us to work towards needs and gun lust. We could buy our souls back, but we sold that. It's a no-go black, higher scully and Kodak. Detectives with corrective, lens perceptive, tight perspective, yet miss the objective. Fuck it, live and let live. They could never catch live. Hit me with the beat and the mic, let's get this. Lights dimming, that means your chances of escape slimming. Hands up and heads bobbing to the rhythm. Blood shower, not your body lose power. Within an hour, I teleport to Kanazawa. To start my feeding again, I'm peeling your skin, then you scream. Let's release the feelings within. Here's a flyer, missing my event will be a sin. Nigga, showtime's at 9, welcome, let it begin. Strange things happen in the nighttime. When you leave your crib to come and hear some hype rhymes. And to show, so I've got you. Black Nosferatu, rock that has to sleep with the beat, then I'll chop you. Strange things happen in the nighttime. When you leave your crib to come and hear some hype rhymes. And to show, so I've got you. Black Nosferatu, rock that has to sleep with the beat, then I'll chop you. Strange things happen in the nighttime. When you leave your crib to come and hear some hype rhymes. And to show, so I've got you. Black Nosferatu, rock that has to sleep with the beat, then I'll chop you. Strange things happen in the nighttime. When you leave your crib to come and hear some hype rhymes. And to show, so I've got you. Black Nosferatu, rock that has to sleep with the beat, then I'll chop you.
Blessings to everyone who's joining me tonight. Today is an impromptu stream. And the reason I'm doing an impromptu stream is because I did my regular stream last night. It was a legendary stream, 13 hours in total. But I was not aware that at the end of the stream, the last hour would be fucking totally cut off and thrown in the trash by the YouTube and the StreamYards. Now I understand why it wasn't posted up as a 13-hour video, because perhaps that might have been too long. But the fact that it wasn't recorded, the last hour is completely missing. So that is a real tragedy, because I had several interactions with the chat that were quite memorable. Peace to everyone who was here at 10 a.m. in the morning, 9 to 10 a.m. That whole hour got erased. So, peace to Reddington, who was here. Peace to Ken Before the Storm, who was here. Shout out to Slowboy Whiteboard, who was here last night. Shout out to the Destroyer, who was here having a great discussion last night and this morning. And you know, a lot of these discussions ended up straight up in the trash. So we're gonna be covering some of that content here again. Unfortunately, we're gonna have to repeat the work that we did yesterday here again. And it's really unfortunate because, you know, I take maybe the beginning part of the show and the end part of the show to present content to you guys, and you know, the minute it gets erased, you know, there's no way to recover or to remember what I actually said. Yeah, it says StreamYard only records the first 10 hours. That's that's yeah, I wasn't even aware of that fact. You know, I wasn't aware that YouTube only records 12 hours, that StreamYard only records 10 hours. So this type of 11-hour live stream, you know, that I've done here, although I do have some 11-hour recordings on StreamYards, so it did work before, but for some reason or another, it didn't work this time. So instead, I'm gonna have to add on this end part of the video again. So unfortunately, this video is being presented in 3 parts. The first part is the part in which I have a sort of interaction with Chalk Body Outline. But since he's also added on as a producer of the show, he accidentally ended the stream. Well, then we had to restart the stream. When we restarted the stream, you know, which happens from time to time, you know, then we were able to cover some topics until the drama of the panel started. And then I came into covering a lot of topics at the end. But if you'll see here at the end of the video, and I will pull it up right now, I'll show you guys what happened, you know. You know, at the end of this video, you know, it just abruptly cuts off, unfortunately. You know, so I'm here explaining. I'm in the 20th minute of this video explaining what this man is saying. So yeah, so I'm just gonna go ahead and present this video and show you guys what I was talking about last night. And we do have all of the information available for you guys. We're gonna go back over it. So you know, we're gonna represent, you know, essentially what we failed to present yesterday, you know, because of the time restrictions that I guess we were not aware of. But yeah, we were still kicking it here, and you know, on the 13th hour of a live stream, you know. But yeah, you know, we'll get back into this right now, you know, but this is where I left off last night. Names and figures, you want to go research, you want to go look into these things so that you understand the connections and the names that we're talking about. And with Julius Evola, and you'll see in you know, the link between Dadaism and the fascists in World War II. You know, there's many links, like for example, Ezra Pound and William Butler Yeats, prominent occultists who supported the fascists in World War II. Another key organization is the British Union of the Fascists, that was started by Oswald Mosley. Anyways, we can get into some of these things in the future, but these are key names and figures. You want to go research, you want to go look into these things so that you understand the connections and the names that we're talking about. And we'll rely on you to do your own research. But we are presenting some key parts of the information, you know, and you know, we'll get into this until he mentions Mitranovic, and then after he's done mentioning Dmitry Mitranovic and the Black Hand Group, then we'll kind of turn this off and focus on something else. But yeah, thank you for joining us, guys.
I don't know if that's necessarily true given how close these individuals, at least Guanan was to, well, they both were very close to the Maestra circles, but they came kind of far afterwards, so who knows. However, description of these discoveries barely exist and seem to be attributable to two of his friends and disciples, Yevgeny Golovin and Gaidar Jamal, who embody the circle's second generation.
In the mid-1960s, a second generation of leading figures emerged within the circle, dominated by the trio Yevgeny Golovin, Gaider Jamal, and Vladimir Stepanov. They became the engines of the circle once Mamlev left the USSR. The circle evening gatherings constituted to organize Dionysian initiations featuring vast quantities of alcohol and sex that were supposed to grant access to another level of human reality, with Golovin as their main mastermind. The anti Soviet creed remained the circle's driving force, and all modes of refusing Soviet normality were welcome. Some authors who later became famous cut their teeth in the group, such as Vladimir Sorokin, Viktor Erofeev, I've heard of Sorokin, and Viktor Pevelin, as well as the
And then my video got cut off. So we're going to be bringing you some of those connections that I made at the end of that video. We're going to represent some of that content, unfortunately. I was going into traditionalism and Guanan and Evola and how they're linked to the fascists of World War II and how they're also linked to the countercultural movement of Dadaism, and how those are linked into the occult. And of course, this is a right-wing sort of fascism, and we talked about the right-wing Discordianism, sort of archaic revival, agrarian reform sort of preached by people like Mussolini, this romanticism of the right, trying to go back, well, this materializes, in one way into traditionalism, but on the other side, on the left side, it manifests as the libertarian ideology, and of course you have this thought schism within Islam and Christianity too, where they use a neo-paganism to invert the Trinity, and they use a monism to subvert Islam and try to turn it into a sort of pantheistic design. And this matches the occult narrative. And who are these occultists that we're referring to? Well, we're referring to Ouspensky, Gurdjieff, Mitranovic, Roerich, Nicolaus Roerich, who is a mentor of Henry A. Wallace, the leader of the Progressive Party in the United States, and also the person who put the I on the back of the dollar. He was part of the FDR administration, and he got kicked out of the presidential election for calling Nicolaus Roerich dear guru. And they were all students of Gurdjieff, who came up with the concept of spiritual machines and also came up with the concept of Duginism and the fourth way, and the Eurasian superstate, which we talked about at the end of this episode. So if you guys want to go back and look at the material I covered towards the end of this now 11-hour video, almost 12-hour video instead of the video that was there yesterday. It was 13 hours long, and then I went to move to cover material from Gen X Jeff that we covered, explaining the nuances and intricacies within the occult, that there's different ideologies within the occult. And we talked about the two main ones, Gnosticism and Hermeticism, and the divide between those two lines. So anyways, we were talking about how many world religions and themes were introduced into this. But yeah, we're 20 minutes into this video, and we're going to go ahead and bring you some more of this content that we brought you yesterday. And then we'll finish it off by restreaming some of the old content that we participated in on other channels, which we ended our video with yesterday, but it's not available anymore. So we're going to bring that back to you guys. But yeah, I'm going to start with a reading here, from a book entitled Transhumanism by David Livingstone. He's a Muslim convert, and he presents some key information here in terms of the fascists in World War II. And I can honestly, barely see this right now, so I'm gonna have to go ahead and take my glasses off so I could take a better look at this and read this to you guys. But yeah, it says here that that when when he became head of the organization Knights of Malta, Alan Dulles hired the services of Reinhard Galen. The Knights of Malta gave Galen its highest award of honor, the Gran Croce al Merito Complaca, in 1948. Though Galen was not a Catholic, he was awarded the honor because of his efforts in the, quote, crusade against godless communism, unquote. Galen was subsequently installed by the Americans as the first chief of West Germany's Secret Service, the Bunde, the Bundesnachricht. Yeah, I can't read these German names, but yeah, the Bundesnach, or whatever, under West German counselor who had received the magistral Grand Cross personally from the SMOM Grand Master Prince Chigi, Chigi, that's his name. In 1950, it was McCloy who had been given the task of appointing a new head of West German Secret Service. After discussing it with Frank Wisner, he decided on Galen. Angleton was also friends with Ezra Pound, the famous Dadaist. And of course, Ezra Pound, William Butler Yeats, and some of these names who were part of the occult organizations at the time, they contributed to the fascists in World War II. Ezra Pound wrote for the British Union of the Fascist newspaper, that was run by Oswald Mosley. So here we have this link between the counterculture and the extreme right-wing movements of the day. But yeah, Ezra Pound, whom he had met in Italy, where Angleton had spent his boyhood. Also a poet, Angleton carried on an extensive correspondence with Pound, as well as E. Cummings and T.S. Eliot, among others. Angleton introduced Pound to Yale and founded the university's literary magazine Furioso. During World War II, the Italian government paid Pound to produce radio broadcasts criticizing the U.S. and in particular the Jews. As a result, Pound was arrested for treason by American forces in Italy in 1945 and interned at St. Elizabeth's Hospital in Washington, D.C., where he became patient of MK Ultra psychiatrist Dr. Winfred Overholser. Angleton explains Francis Stoner Saunders was a vital link in what was to become known as, quote unquote, the P source, P standing for professor. Referring to the CIA's connection with the Ivy League, quote, intellectuals or a certain sort of intellectuals have always had a romance about intelligence services, unquote, remarked Carol Brightman. Quote, it's a kind of coming of age experience going into the intelligence services, especially on certain campuses such as Yale, unquote. The intersection of artists and intelligence has a long tradition with past examples, including Somerset Maugham working for British Secret Service during World War I, Graham Greene working undercover for M15, and Joseph Conrad for M16. Others also included Ian Fleming and John Le Carre. One of Angleton's several proteges, Cord Meyer, had edited the Yale Lit and published short stories in the Atlantic Monthly before joining the CIA at the invitation of Alan Dulles. According to Deborah Davis in her book 1979, written in 1979, Catherine the Great I mean, it's not surprising she's going to write a book called about Catherine the Great. You know what I'm saying? Catherine the Great. You know, who was the sponsor of Rene Descartes and Dance in the Streets of Amsterdam for the false Jewish Messiah Shabbatai Zevi. You know, the same. Oh no, wait. Oh no, wait. That's Queen Christina of Sweden. Sorry. Yeah, all these white people get mixed up in my head. Yeah, Catherine the Great is a different person. Yeah, Catherine the Great. Meyer became the principal operative, quote unquote, principal operative of Operation Mockingbird, headed by Frank Wisner, a project of the CIA which successfully infiltrated the media and film industry. There was also E. Howard Hunt, notorious CIA spy, as well as author of East of Farewell, Limit of Darkness, and Stranger in Town, which won him a Guggenheim Fellowship. Hunt would later become infamous as a possible suspect in the JFK assassination and one of the Watergate plumbers, along with G. Gordon Liddy. William F. Buckley, who founded the political magazine National Review in 1955, which had a major impact in stimulating the conservative movement in 1951. Like some of the classmates in the Ivy League, Buckley was recruited into the CIA, where he served for 2 years, including 1 year in Mexico City as a political action specialist in the Elite Special Services Division. So who are these people? These people are people who run magazines, newspapers, artist collectives. You know, these are counterculture enthusiasts, you know, who are running this type of operations. You know, yeah, it says Buckley was recruited into the CIA, where he served for 2 years, including 1 year in Mexico City as a political action specialist in the Elite Special Activities Division. And we talked about the link between McCarthyism, Roy Cohn, William F. Buckley on the show there. We watched an episode of Roy Cohn on William F. Buckley's show. Very interesting affair that happened there. You know, and of course, Roy Cohn is the mentor of Donald Trump. So if you guys want to watch some of the previous videos in which we discussed these connections and showed people how these people are connected to each other. But yeah, it says specialist in Elite Special Activities Division, where Hunt was his immediate boss. At the time, Hunt was helping to devise Operation PB Success, the successful covert plan to overthrow Jacobo Arbenz, the democratically elected president of Guatemala. At the end of World War II, Angleton rescued Italian fascist Junio Valerio Borghese, an Italian Navy commander during the regime of Benito Mussolini. Borghese was then tried and convicted of collaboration with the Nazis. Borghese is spelled Borghese, but offered a reduced sentence due to his glorious expeditions during the war. Borghese was born into one of the leading families of the black nobility, the House of Borghese, of which Pope Paul V was a notable member and which maintains close ties to the Vatican. With his record as a war hero, Borghese became a figurehead for pro-fascist, anti-communist groups, acquiring the nickname of quote-unquote Black Prince. Borghese wrote an introduction to Men Among the Ruins by Julius Evola, and that's one of the key names we just discussed, who was a student of Rene Guénon. But as I mentioned, you know, Evola took the traditionalism of Guénon further than Sufism. He wanted to move it into paganism. He thought that any form of monotheism betrayed a sense of a separation from being and becoming, that this form of ontological transcendence actually came from the monotheistic tradition itself, and not from and if we could go back to the animism, you know, of the previous pagan age, you know, we could avoid all of this. So he went further than his teacher Guanan in his traditionalism, saying that we should reject, because Guanan was only willing to go back to the monotheistic traditions, you know, but Evola wanted to go back way further, back to paganism. And of course, this, you know, shows their new understanding, their evolutionary understanding of human beings, you know. But yeah, but yeah, Pope Paul. Okay, here we go. Borges wrote an introduction to Men Among the Ruins by Julius Evola, a book which affirmed Evola's political ideology of a neo-fascist aristocracy. In the post-war years, Evola's writings were held in high esteem by members of the neo-fascist movement in Italy, the Italian Socialist Movement, MSI, which was inspired by the thought of Evola, was formed in 1946 by supporters of Mussolini. The MSI is seen as a successor of both Mussolini's Republican Fascist Party as well as the original National Fascist Party. From the end of the war to the late 1980s, the MSI was the chief organization of the European far right. By the initiative of the MSI, the European Social Movement, ESM, was established as a neo-fascist Europe-wide alliance in 1951. The MSI was also part of a more radical splinter group of the ESM, the New European Order, together with, among others, the Phalange and the Socialist Reich Party. The SRP was a West German neo-Nazi political party founded in the aftermath of World War II as an openly Nazi-oriented split-off from the National Conservative German Right Party. The foundation of the SRP was backed by former Luftwaffe hero Hans Ulrich Rodel, who was one of the most popular and visible figures of post-war neo-Nazi scene. In 1945, Rudel had fled to Argentina, where he became a popular and prominent member of the country's large Nazi community under the protection of the Peron government. There he became the head of the rescue organization called, I'm not even gonna try to pronounce that, Kameradenwerk. Again, these German names, guys. I'm not making it with these fucking German names. But yeah, which assisted Nazi figures of the war criminals in escaping from Europe with the assistance of Otto Skorzeny. Rudel played an important role in recruiting large numbers of former Nazi fugitives from Argentina for key posts in Egypt. Rudel was a close friend with Savitri Devi, and this is another figure of the New Right, Savitri Devi, one of the major occult figures. And we talked about Ouspensky. We talked about some of Gurdjieff, you know, about how he plays a role into this. We talked about Roerich, Nicholas Roerich, and his theosophical views. You know, we can talk about Lanz von Lebensfels, you know, and the control he exercised on the Nazis. You know, yeah, I'm sorry. Somebody tried to hop in here and I don't know who it was. But yeah, somebody said, check out this patent. Personal extender. Yeah, I'm so confused by this patent that somebody left here. It says a present invention discloses a system and method for morphological solution to macroscopic problem of N entropy, loss of control / information of prevailing global anarchy by super augmenting a persona to manifest a pan environment super cyborg for global governance. Yeah, I'm not sure what this is, but yeah, interesting what they're showing here in this, patent here, and I'll go ahead and show this to people because this is kind of, interesting, for sure. Take a little break from reading to show you guys this patent. Yeah, what do you guys think of this? Somebody just dropped this here. They showed up in the back, dropped this here, and just left. And it says necktie personal extender / environment integrator and method for super augmenting a persona to manifest a pan environment super cyborg for global governance. Holy smokes. Yeah, I guess I'll have to read this, look into this, but yeah, what the fuck is this? Yeah, what is this, guys? But yeah, you guys look at this patent, and I'll drop this link here for you guys. You guys go look at this for this person just dropped this out here. And is now asking me what to make of this. Oh, you posted the link for it? Oh, okay, that's Smith right there. Okay, cool, man. Yeah, so everybody check out this link from Smith. You guys check it out. So I dropped that link out there for you guys. Blessings, Smith. Thank you, my brother. Information from Smith. Information from Smith. We got information. Anyways, y'all got that link? Cool, man. Yeah, bless to Smith. Anyways, we're going over it on the occult, the figures on the far right. Okay. And of course, we're leading into Duganism, but we first talked about Ouspensky, Oswald Mosley, British Union of the Fascists. We talked about some of the figures, the artistic figures, the Dadaists, support for fascists in World War II, like Ezra Pound. And this is all part of a countercultural movement, that is blurring the lines between the left and the right. And part of it is this person, Savitri Devi, a neo-pagan thinker, Savitri Devi, the pseudonym of Greek writer Maxiani Portas, the first major post-war exponent of what Goodrick Clark in Black Sun, Aryan cults, esoteric Nazism, and the politics of identity has characterized as esoteric Hitlerism. Esoteric Hitlerism. Devi eventually achieved wide influence among neo-Nazi circles through her development of an occult form of Nazism. She assimilated many notions from Hinduism and glorified the Aryan race and venerated Adolf Hitler as an avatar of Vishnu. Devi was one of the founding members of the World Union of National Socialists, The organization was created in 1962 when veteran U.S. Navy Commander George Lincoln Rockwell, founder of the American Nazi Party, met with the National Socialist Movement chief Colin Jordan. Colin and Rockwell agreed to work toward developing an international network between movements as an umbrella group for neo-Nazi organizations across the globe. This resulted in 1962 Cotswold Declaration, which was signed by neo-Nazi from the US, Britain, France, represented by Savitri Devi, West Germany, Austria, Belgium. More member nations would join later throughout the decade, including Argentina, Australia, Chile, Ireland, South Africa, Japan, and others. Savitri Devi and Julius Evola were important sources of inspiration to Miguel Serrano, who was another prominent exponent of esoteric Hitlerism. During his postings as an ambassador to Chile in Vienna and subsequently in Switzerland, he cultivated friendships with Leon Degrelle, Otto Skorzeny, and Hans Ulrich Rudel, and paid visits to Julius Evola, Herman Wirth, Wilhelm Landig, and Ezra Pound. And Ezra Pound, a famous Dadaist writer who wrote the ABC of Reading, among other works, seminal works of modern art. One of the founders of the modern art movement. In Switzerland, he met and befriended Hermann Hesse and Carl Jung. Two more agents, by the way, Hermann Hesse and Carl Jung, agents of the occult, trying to subvert religion. Serrano also became a personal friend of Jawaharlal Nehru. You guys know about Nehru? Who's Nehru? Nehru is the first prime minister of India. And if you'll believe it, the British government formed India and Pakistan, Israel, and Saudi Arabia all at the same time. All these countries are formed by the British Empire in conjunction with other world powers, of course. And we talked about it last time, on our meeting. Yeah, blessings to you guys. Yeah, thank you guys. Adaptable and Yellow Cake, especially you two. And how you guys doing? Let me try to find where my fucking link is here. So I make you know what I'm saying? Some of these people. But yeah. Oh, I forgot what I was talking about. Personal friend of Nehru and Indira Gandhi. He also boasted of being quote unquote good friends with the current Dalai Lama, who has long been an employee of the CIA. Serrano provided his explanation of their curious relationship as follows. I also met the Dalai Lama at the moment he escaped from Tibet during the communist Chinese invasion. He was very young, 25 years old. I went to meet him at the Himalayas. He never forgets that. And when we met again during the funeral of Indira Gandhi in Delhi, he invited me to go to Dharamsala, where he lives now. We had a very interesting talk. It is good to know that before Buddhism was introduced in Tibet, Tibetans were a warrior race, and their religion, the Bon shamanism, used also the same swastika of Hitlerism. Until today, intelligence services of England and the United States have been unable to discover the real mysterious links that existed between Tibet and Hitlerist Germany. But those links are available via Ouspensky Gurdjieff, who is known as Blavatsky's baboon, Gurdjieff, also some of these other figures that we're talking about here, obviously Roerich, Nicholas Roerich, and they all betrayed an understanding of the Oriental Kabbalah. Blavatsky and Swedenborg use these terms, Oriental Kabbalah. Yeah, and yeah. The MSI, along with Union Movement, I'm not even gonna try to pronounce that. Dush Reichspartei Europe, motherfuckers. Anyways, formed the National Party of Europe in 1962 to coordinate this growth in pan-European nationalism. The idea of the NPE, or the National Party of Europe, began when Oswald Mosley launched a national campaign after World War II as a counterbalance to the growing power of the US and USSR. And I talked about this last time, the discussions between Winston Churchill and Stalin. So, you guys go look at the discussions between Winston Churchill and Stalin about Gog and Magog and how that figures into some of this, Oswald Mosley, yep. Europe, a nation, was a policy that was the cornerstone of his union movement, where Mosley had previously been associated with peculiarly British form of fascism. With the British Union of the Fascists, the Union movement attempted to redefine fascism by stressing the importance of developing a European nationalism rather than country-based nationalisms. Europe, a nation, consisted of the idea that all European states should come together and pool their resources, including their colonies, to work as a giant superstate under a system of corporatism. Okay, well, I'll stop reading there. But yeah, you guys get some of the connections there. Okay, and we'll read more about Gurdjieff, his philosophy, and all of these things. But we're going to get back into this video that we were watching here on the tail end of this stream, and we got cut out. We got cut out, folks.
Not really important. Mamleev himself published several articles on Buddhism, Hinduism, and the Western New Ageism, and helped circulate it in the Soviet Union. In his first years, the Golovin Circle occupied a unique place in the Muscovite Bohemian underground by avoiding the sterile Slavophile versus Westerners debate that then dominated the dissident space. It provided a restricted number of followers access to a hitherto unknown European pantheon of doctrines and beliefs and parallel metaphysical realities that would allow one to mentally escape the Soviet regime and way of life. Mamleev is often presented as the first to introduce into the Soviet Union previously unknown European theoreticians of traditionalism, such as René Guénon and Julie Savola. I don't know if that's necessarily true, given how close these individuals, at least Guénon was to, well, they both were very close to the Maestra circles, but they came kind of far afterwards, so who knows. However, description of these discoveries barely exist and seem to be attributable to two of his friends and disciples, Yevgeny Golovin and Gaidar Jamal, who embody the circle's second generation. In the mid-1960s, a second generation of leading figures emerged within the circle, dominated by the trio Yevgeny Golovin, Gaidar Jamal, and Vladimir Stepanov. They became the engines of the circle once Mamleev left the USSR. The circle evening gatherings constituted to organize Dionysian initiations featuring vast quantities of alcohol and sex that were supposed to grant access to another level of human reality, with Golovin as their main mastermind. The anti-Soviet creed remained the circle's driving force, and all modes of refusing Soviet normality were welcome. Some authors who later became famous cut their teeth in the group, such as Vladimir Sorokin, Viktor Erofeev. I've heard of Sorokin, and Viktor Pevlin, as well as the jazz musician Boris Grebenshikov. The disciple of Gurdjieff, Arkady Rovner. I've heard of Rovner as well. I think he's one of the oligarchs. I can't remember. And painter and film director Valery Konoplev. As it did in early years, the group seemed to attract around 50 regular followers, as many of the 30 persons would convene at the Jamal's Dasha in weekends. Golovin himself was a poet, not a systematic theoretician or a political thinker, and worked as a translator and literary critic for the so-called thick journals of the time. Under his influence, one of the hallmarks of the Circle's evenings became poetry readings. Members faithfully recited Rimbaud and Baudelaire, the founder of cultural modernism. He coined modernité, and is specifically one of the targets of the Oath Against Modernism. Schleiermacher being the founder of um, theological modernism and Catholicism.
Yeah, and I read Schleiermacher's essays on religion, and in those essays, he admits that he was part of the Moravian Brethren, started by Jan Comenius, and definitely an occult organization, a precursor to the Illuminati. But yeah.
But Baudelaire actually says that Joseph de Maistre was his main influence. Joseph de Maistre taught him how to think, and that modernism is not in opposition to tradition, but the tradition of the new. Still a traditionalist. People fail to make that connection, and that's why they misunderstand modernism. It did not come.
You see that? The link between modernism and traditionalism, and indeed the link between perennialism and all of these various forms and ideologies. These are not distinct ideologies. They often function in conjunction with each other, you know, within a false dialectic, you know. Anyways.
Come out of liberalism. Golovin also gave new impetus to the musical activities of the Circle. In the late 1970s and through the 1980s, his poems were put to music by Vasily Shumov and his band Center, by Alexander Skalayer and his band Vabank, and the Vyacheslav Butusov and his band Kino. In 1997, Golovin devoted an entire work to center the sentimental fury of rock and roll. His eccentric views earned him a role as a hero in Man Leaves the Sublimes, and saw him represented as the character of the Admiral, a nickname he had given himself in Konstantin Serebrov's novel Mystical Underground, The Hermetically Sealed School, released 2002. And you recognize with all of these orthodoxy circles, they're extremely Nietzschean, just like the Uriyev school that I talk about in Vichy, France. They believe that Christianity has deviralized men, and so they have to go through with these kind of crazy, wild pursuits, masculine pursuits like death metal and what have you. And you notice that Jay is around all of these avant-garde type bands. And that fundamentally comes out of a Dionysian, Nietzschean worldview of the Russian Orthodox. He doesn't have to believe everything that Nietzsche said. It is these little shit seeds that Nietzsche had planted.
And it goes with one of the counterparts of the Nietzschean sort of artistic movement at the time, which was Dostoevsky, who's they tried to make into a saint, an Orthodox saint, honorary. And of course, the work of Dostoevsky has a lot of these links to this sort of, you know, romanticism and Nietzscheanism, you know.
And if you don't go in and weed them out, then they stay there. It doesn't matter. You're still influenced by an individual, even if you nominally say that you're not. Little information has been handed down about the methods that the Circle used to obtain banned literature. Soviet control over banned literature grew, and the Lenin Library Spectron became less accessible to anybody outside of a selected group of privileged people. Working as a translator of the West in literature, Golovin could have accessed some of these books, but like other dissident groups, the Circle developed alternative strategies.
By the way, it's a well-known fact that Nietzsche endorsed the work of Dostoevsky. So, that's just a well-known fact,
To obtain Western products. One way was to make contact with Western diplomats in their offices in Moscow or with occasional visitors to the USSR. I'm smelling a foreign intelligence, British intelligence operation. Philologist Mikhail Milak, 1944, a disciple of Gurdjieff and specialist in medieval troubadour literature, often visited hotels reserved for foreigners in the hope of obtaining banned works, which led to the authorities arresting him at several occasions. Another way to send requests to Western publishers sympathetic to dissidents, such as the YMCA Press in Paris, run in conjunction with Nikolai Berdyaev. Vladimir Stepanov, for instance, wrote to several Western publishers to ask for works unavailable in the Soviet Union. He was also in contact with Gurdjieffians abroad, such as John Bonnet, a British scholar, diplomat, and likely member of MI6 British intelligence services. Gee, wow. And Idris Shah, an Afghan born in India and teacher in the Sufi tradition. Both Bennett and Shaw were convinced that Sufism had inspired traditionalist higher knowledge. They met each other in 1962 and worked.
And that's what I was going over yesterday, that some of this deception is linked to Islam as well. They want to transform Islam, use Islam as a sort of Unitarianism to bring Christianity to its centerpiece. And they want to use Christianity as a sort of neo-paganism and invert the Trinity, bringing in all sorts of ideas, like the idea of the Great Mother that we saw these people using, like Dugan used that idea, referring to the Great Mother, and of the three logoi, and of course there is the womb of nature and the logoi spermaticos that I talked about in the last episode, a occult conception and a Kabbalistic conception also seen in the Shekinah. But this is, of course, the melding of the Unitarian scope with the neo-pagan scope of things, and it's used to transform religion. And that's the next thing we're going to get into, is how this worldview is used to transform religious ideology. And of course, people don't realize that the various forms of this ideology, are, hidden from people because they're able to conflate New Age thinking with Gnosticism. Although they both want to transcend the physical form and declare the, basically materialism to be dead, the New Age wants to transform or evolutionize the human conscience through the material realm. Although the Gnostics want to transcend the physical realm by becoming reborn in another sense, transcending, and so in the Hermetic sense, the whole plan is to transmute this world. But in the Gnostic sense, you have to transcend it. So the utopian thinking does not apply to Gnosticism, but it applies instead to Hermeticism. But the idea that you want to escape to a higher dimension or a higher reality or a higher form, well, the Gnostics seek to do this through transcendence, whereas the New Age seeks to do this through evolution of the human conscience. So these are two different, although similar, ways of denying the material realm, but also using the material realm in order to escape the material world. And it's faith in the future on one side, and then the other side, it's a sort of cosmic dualism, but yeah. you know, and yeah, we're just going to be restreaming some content. A lot of the material, a lot of what I had said yesterday, I think I got back into, except for some of the discussions we had with Reddington and Ken Before the Storm, where I talked about silence and God. And yeah, Reddington, what's up? Yeah, we were talking about God and silence, and we were talking about the problem of evil, theodicy, also known as the problem of evil, in the chat. You know, Reddington made some very interesting comments on that topic. You know, and we were chatting with Ken Before the Storm, but obviously it's not available anymore. Whatever we had talked about yesterday, but it was still a beautiful conversation, my friend, and I thank you for being there with me. And another conversation we had about the meaning of technology, which is, in another sense, applied skills. So applied knowledge, in a sense, knowledge is skills, but when you apply them or when you transform them into techniques, you then put down a methodology, you know. So the technique is the how aspect of the way things are done. But we'll focus more on this later when we discover more about the philosophy of technology. But yeah, right now we're going over the occult, and you know, last part of my video got cut out yesterday, so I was representing some of this information to you guys, and I thank you guys for joining me again here today. You know, but Destroyer was out here last night, and the whole last part of the video got cut off. Yeah, so sorry about that, Destroyer. But yeah, we represented a lot of that information here today. I think in a lot more depth. You know, we took it in a lot more depth today than we were able to do yesterday. You know, so I do thank you guys, but this is just a repeat of the stream from last night, because unfortunately it was canceled. You know, but yeah, you know, yeah, for sure. Yep. Yeah, thank you guys for being here. Yeah, I know. It all got erased. It all got erased. Well, some of it's still there, but some of it got erased. Yeah. So unfortunately, but only about 10 minutes of it. You know, we're going to represent the information we covered with the Gen X Jeff live stream, and then we'll end it with a restream of a stream I did with Neurojack and Trad Culture Preservation Society. But yeah, thank you guys for joining us. I've just been recapping what was missed yesterday in the last hour of what I covered there about occultists, the new right, the link between fascism and counterculture, and all of these figures. But yeah, we're going to discuss more of these key figures, you know, Gurdjieff, Nikolaus Roerich, Ouspensky, you know, and their links. Obviously, we mentioned Evola and Savitri Devi, some neo-pagan figures as well, in the right, you know, still having a sense of traditionalism, but they're putting that traditionalism within the modern tradition, as our friend here just explained. So yeah. And we're going to get into some of the topics that I covered the other day. In terms of the link between counterculture and fascism and the utopian ideology.
Vielen Dank für Ihren Brief und
And this is a letter from Uncle Ted.
Ihre Fragen, die ich versuchen werde zu beantworten. Ich nutze diese Gelegenheit, um meine Kenntnisse der deutschen Sprache zu verbessern. Ich bin kein Wissenschaftler. Vor 30 Jahren war ich Mathematiker. Aber ich habe den größten Teil von dem, was ich über die Mathematik wusste, vergessen. Ich meine, dass Utopien wahnsinnig und gefährlich sind. Besonders die von einer technologischen Gesellschaft. Die Technologie ist eine ganz eigenwillige und äußerst gefährliche Macht, die uns dahin führt, wohin sie uns führen muss. Das wird weder durch den Zufall noch die Willkür arroganter Bürokraten, Politiker oder Wissenschaftler bestimmt, sondern das technologische System muss einfach menschliches Verhalten seinen eigenen Erfordernissen anpassen. Das ist notwendig, damit es funktionieren und sich immer weiter ausdehnen kann. Sie fragen mich auch einiges zum Manifesto. Alle veröffentlichten Versionen des Manifesto sind unrichtig, denn sie enthalten schwerwiegende Fehler. Wenn Sie eine richtige Version des Manifesto bekommen wollen, kann ich sie Ihnen liefern. Sie können mir auch weiter auf Deutsch schreiben.
U.S. Marines operating in Afghanistan launched their first ground offensive, killing 7 fighters and destroying 3 vehicles. It all happened overnight when a Taliban convoy ran a roadblock Marines set up in southern Afghanistan. No Marines injured in the attacks. And today, a couple of helicopters were launched from the base with a report that another convoy had been spotted. Choppers, however, weren't able to find that route. And Israel ended a 2-day halt in bombing this morning when F-16s attacked.
Wie entsteht eine Utopie? Entsteht so etwas zufällig? Gibt es einen oder mehrere Erfinder? Oder gibt es einen Plan? An MIT wird die Elite amerikanischer und internationaler Ingenieure und Wissenschaftler ausgebildet. Das MIT ist auch Vorreiter für eine enge Partnerschaft zwischen dem Militär und den Universitäten. Diese Zusammenarbeit beginnt im Ersten Weltkrieg und setzt sich im Zweiten Weltkrieg fort, wo Technologie kriegsentscheidend wird.
Stuka auf Stuka kippt ab.
Am 13. August 1940 eröffnet die deutsche Luftwaffe die Schlacht um England.
And what are we talking about here? We're talking about the link between military, the education system, and the communication arts. And of course, all of these three things are linked through technology. So we asked the question, how do utopias emerge?
Kurz nach Beginn der deutschen Angriffe bietet der 1886 in Chicago geborene Mathematiker und Physiker Norbert Wiener sein Wissen für den Abwehrkampf gegen den Faschismus an.
There it is again. It's about the fight against fascism in World War II. That's when they develop all of these programs.
Wiener lehrt am MIT als Professor für Mathematik und hat sich schon im Ersten Weltkrieg mit Fragen der Ballistik und
And of course, we talked about the British Union of the Fascists, the links between esoteric Hitlerism and the far-right ideologies, but also their links with the artistic movements of the day, the movements of modern art. Anyways.
Artillerie beschäftigt. Wie kann man eine Maschine bauen, die Bewegungen von Jagdfliegern im Voraus berechnet, um diese dann abschießen zu können? Wiener muss dabei das Wesen des technisierten Krieges berücksichtigen, wo Menschen, Schiffe und Flugzeuge auf dem Radarschirm nur mehr abstrakte weiße Punkte und Zeichen sind.
Yeah, and Destroyer says Psy-War. You know, that's exactly right. You know, that's exactly right. You know, that's exactly what they call their warfare, the way they conduct warfare, you know. Psy-op. From psy-op to mind war, the psychology of victory. Colonel Paul E. Vallely. And these guys are proteges of the Esalen Institute of Michael Murphy. As was Henry A. Murray, who conducted the experiments on Uncle Ted. So let me see if I could read some of these. Within the U.S. military, PSYOP has been relegated to the back seat as a force multiplier. The principal strategic decisions are made in consideration of traditional political and military interests and goals. Only then is PSYOP invited to the table to help achieve already agreed upon missions more efficiently. Mind war reverses this sequence. Psychological means for achieving victory, essentially through convincing the enemy that he really wants to bring his national policies into harmony with ours, are fashioned in support of basic political goals. The use of quote-unquote ordinary military force, bombs, bullets, etc. is regarded as a quote-unquote last resort in circumstances wherein mind war by itself falls. The advantage of mind war is that it conducts wars in non-lethal, non-injurious, and non-destructive ways. Essentially, you overwhelm your enemy with argument. You seize control of all the means by which his government and populace process information to make up their mind, and you adjust it so that the minds are made up as you desire. Everyone is happy, no one gets hurt, and nothing is destroyed. Anyways. Let me remove this from there. But yeah. Yeah, that's right. Information overload, you know. But yeah. You know, and I read part of this book yesterday. You know, Jewish Identity and the JDL, and it was saying a similar thing about thought architecture and how ancient symbols correlate to modern forms of programming. You know. You know. Who job bless, no man curse.
Der Pilot verschmilzt mit seiner Maschine, die Grenze zwischen Mensch und Maschine verwischt und es entsteht ein anonymes, mechanisiertes Gegenüber, dessen Handlungen nun in den Kriegslaboratorien modelliert und berechnet werden. Obwohl Wieners Maschinen bis Kriegsende nicht einsetzbar sind, entwickelt er davon ausgehend das Modell einer neuen Wissenschaft, die als Kybernetik bekannt wird. Kybernetik beschäftigt sich mit der Frage, wie Nachrichtenübertragung in Maschinen und Lebewesen funktioniert.
See, it said in machines and in living beings. They first learned how the mind worked through thought architecture of the mind, and then they made a computer as an external version of how the mind transmits information. So the mind was the model for the computer. It is artificial intelligence research that inspired the creation of the computer. It's not the computer that's inspiring the discovery of artificial intelligence. It's the other way around. And if you learn about the origins of cybernetics, you'll understand that. You know, that cybernetics had to do with how the mind works, how genes transfer information, and indeed how information is sent through the human brain.
Basis der Kybernetik ist die Annahme, dass das menschliche Nervensystem
Oh, that's why they call it an intelligent system. It's an oxymoronic term. Have you ever thought of that?
Realität nicht abbildet, sondern errechnet. Der Mensch erscheint nun als ein informationsverarbeitendes System, das Denken als Datenverarbeitung und das Gehirn als eine Fleischmaschine. Das Gehirn ist nicht mehr der Ort, an dem sich auf geheimnisvolle Art und Weise das Ich und Identität durch Erinnerung und Bewusstsein bildet. Es ist eine Maschine, die aus Schalt- und Regelkreisen, aus Rückkopplungsschleifen und aus Kommunikationsknoten besteht. Eine Blackbox, in der in einem Kreislauf die Ursache Wirkung und die Wirkung Ursache ist. Ein geschlossenes Rückkopplungssystem mit In- und Output, den man kontrollieren und berechnen kann. Nicht mehr wie bisher ausgehend von Naturanschauung, sondern von unbezweifelbarer Mathematik und Logik. Wieners Zukunftsvision
And yeah, we'll let it finish.
von einer kommenden kybernetischen Gesellschaft liefert nun für den neuen politisch-militärischen Status der USA als Supermacht die wissenschaftliche Legitimation. Kybernetik wird zur neuen globalen Leitwissenschaft, die fortan unter wechselnden Etiketten weiterentwickelt wird.
And some of the key figures are not only Norbert Wiener, but also the founder of the OSS, you know, Gregory Bateson, you know, in which we could read some of Bateson's words. You know, let me go ahead and, you know, try to find some of Bateson's words here so you guys can see the thoughts of Gregory Bateson. You know, and he's one of the founders of cybernetics, you know. And he actually says that Alfred Russel Wallace is the first to create the cybernetic model. You know, But yeah, and he says here in this book, the link between evolution and mind and the development of intelligent systems. He says, now we begin to see some of the epistemological fallacies of Occidental civilization. In accordance with the general climate of thinking in the mid 19th century England, Darwin proposed a theory of natural selection and evolution in which the unit of survival was either the family line or species or subspecies or something of that sort. But today it is quite obvious that this is not the unit of survival in the real biological world. But today, okay, here in the biological world, sorry, the unit of survival is organism plus environment. Organism plus environment. And this is also linked to the theory of epigenetics. Epigenetics and epiphenomenalism, which is a theory of mind that's used today. We are learning by bitter experiences that the organism which destroys its environment destroys itself. If now we correct the Darwinian unit of survival to include the environment and the interaction between organism and environment, a very strange identity emerges. The unit of evolutionary survival turns out to be identical with the unit of mind. The unit of mind. And he explains the unit of mind here. He says, consider a tree and a man and an axe. We observe that the axe flies through the air, makes a certain sort of gashes and pre-existing cut in the side of a tree. If now we want to explain this set of phenomenon, we shall be concerned with the differences in the cut face of the tree, differences in the retina of the man, differences in his central nervous system, differences in his efferent neural messages, differences in the behavior of his muscles, differences in how the axe flies, to the differences which the axe makes on the face of the tree. Our explanation for certain purposes will go round and around in a circuit. In principle, if you want to explain or understand anything in human behavior, you are always dealing with total circuits, completed circuits. This is elementary cybernetic thought, he says. Elementary cybernetic thought. The elementary cybernetic system with its messages and circuits is in fact the simplest unit of mind. And the transform of a difference traveling in a circuit in the elementary idea, more complicated systems are perhaps more worthy to be called mental systems. Mental systems. But essentially, this is what we are talking about. The unit which shows the characteristic of trial and error will be legitimately called a mental system. Anyways. And we did have somebody on the panel here. But yeah, if you were trying to join the panel, I'm sorry, come back up here and I'll let you up, but I am closing this out soon. So if you want to do that, you better make it quick. But we're going to end with talking about the links between utopianism, occultism, and Gnosticism.
Aus einer Theorie wird weltweite Praxis.
Afghanistan, claims his sources have told him that Osama bin Laden is definitely in Toronto.
Florence, 6. März. Weil ich jetzt ein wenig mehr Zeit habe, setze ich meine Antwort auf Ihren Brief fort. Sie fragen, wie soll eine nachtechnologische Gesellschaft aussehen? Nun, wenn alle moderne Technologie abgeschafft ist, wissen wir nur, dass es keine Biotechnologie, keine Computer, keine Atombomben und so weiter mehr gibt. Bleiben wir bei dem, was praktisch und konkret ist. Gefiele es Ihnen, wenn die Menschen in einer virtuellen Welt leben, dass Maschinen klüger sind als Menschen, dass Menschen, Tiere und Pflanzen künftig Produkte von Technologie sind? Wenn Ihnen das nicht gefällt, ist für Sie die Computer- und Biowissenschaft offensichtlich gefährlich. Das ist sehr einfach und steht nicht in Beziehung zur Moral, zum Unvollständigkeitssatz von Gödel oder anderen abstrakten philosophischen Fragen. Sie haben angeboten, etwas zu schicken, was mir Freude macht. Dieses Angebot nehme ich gerne an. Mein deutsches Wörterbuch ist klein, schlecht und zerlumpt. Es würde mir Freude machen, ein gutes deutsch-englisches Wörterbuch zu erhalten. Aber Sie dürfen keines mit hartem Einband schicken.
With the Cold War, with World War II over, and now us turning our attentions to the Russians, we needed various ways to, one, literally protect our skies, and two, to give the people of the U.S. Sort of a feeling of security. And that's where Sage came in. Sage is the largest computer ever made, and this is only one portion, and all of this is another portion. And we have less than 10% of one Sage machine. First wide-scale use of modems was on this machine. And how it worked was you'd actually see a blip on the screen that was moving, and you would access that blip with a light gun.
Anyways, we'll get more into this video later, but yeah, that's all we got for it for now. But yeah, thanks for joining, JG. You know, I think JG will be the only one on the panel for today, you know, because it's going to be a short broadcast. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, you guys have a blessed day. And, you know, really, I mean, I'm not really going anywhere. I'm going to stick around for a while. If anybody wants to hop on the panel and say anything, I'll pause the video up, you know, but I'm representing some old stuff that I presented yesterday, but I didn't get a chance to, you know, fuck with it all the way like I was supposed to. But yeah, part of what I was going to present was this Gen X Jeff appearance where we talked about the differences between the occult. I talked about some fundamental concepts, the relation between technology and nature, the ideas of utopianism in the occult, and where some of these ideas originate from. So we will definitely get back into that right now because the video from yesterday was deleted. So we came back here to give you you know, reignite this type of information here in your mind, you know, so you guys could have a copy of what some of the things we were talking about. And if you guys want to go back, you know, to these concepts and ideas, this is some of the shit that we've been covering over the past 3 episodes. So really, we've covered this stuff. You know, you guys want to look at the Pantechnicon episode, Robo Sapien episode. You know, I covered a lot of these issues in those episodes as well. So, you know, but right now we're going to get into this. Thank you, sis. Thanks for listening. Primal Hex out here. Show.
And you know, from a religious point of view, people would say it's Satan, but I think even that might yeah, but I think even that is probably like not, to me, I don't think it's a full grasp of the situation, and I could be wrong, but I think it's a little bit more unknowable, and but it seems that overall something doesn't like humans to have free will, and it seems that much of what we experience is there seems to be something trying to subvert human free will, and I see that as the primary battle. Kind of
Humans themselves don't even seem to want free will half the time.
Yeah, well, you know, it's like this interesting thing
The way they give up their power.
Well, you know, it's like this interesting thing that I learned about recently, where, you know, when you read history books, and again, we don't know for sure this is true, but you know, like when the British Empire was taking over the whole world, and then they decided to start pulling back, a lot of these places didn't really want the British Empire to pull back because it gave them stability and a purpose and things to do, and you know, something like a Gandhi, although it may have had some real you know, grievances embedded in it, in general, the average person probably would have preferred things to continue more or less on the same trajectory that they were on. And I think that you see this with a lot of things, and I think that's kind of also like what we're seeing right now with a lot of this political discussion, is like a lot of people like are LARPing as if they want to change the system. But the reality is, I don't think most people would be very happy if they actually got what they say they want, because it would necessarily lead to a huge lack of convenience, to say the least, and probably a lot of death and destruction.
That's never stopped them in the past.
Yeah, and I think that's really the challenge, I think, of a lot of this, is like, you know, freedom isn't free, as they say, but I think what that really means is freedom is quite a messy situation to be in.
It's work. I mean, liberalism is work. You're constantly having to maintain it. Machine says all kinds of machine. You need to come on and explain yourself. The problem is ideology and technology, so it obfuscates blame. I definitely agree. Ideology can be problematic. Technology to me is a tool that's neutral and depends on how you use it. So it would be the user. And then this statement here. That's also the hoax of democracy and autocratic government. So authoritarianism and liberalism both is that it enforces individualist and freedom through collectivism and machination arbitration. Yeah. Don't type stuff like that and then not come on and explain it. That has me all thinking.
Yeah, that's a very good way to put it, and I don't even know if I can respond properly to what he said there, because it is very, there's a lot of implication in what he said there. Like
ideology is like a technology. Now I know how it feels to type stuff in the chat room all the time and not come on. Yeah, it's people are weird and complex. I never do understand how ideology has the power over people that it does, like the woke mind virus. And how to what extent are we autonomous and self-determining, and to what extent are we at the mercy and influence of culture, ideology, other people, art, aesthetics, technology, all that stuff.
Yeah, and I think that's really the biggest thing that I see going on. Sorry about
that. He said he'll hop on soon, but then he might have to leave as well. Well, that's fine, because P.F. Young has that thing coming up in about an hour, so I'm going to be ending at some point. But I would definitely love to at least get your thoughts on some of this.
Well,
I also have to go pee. You think you can man the show for a little while?
Sure.
Or I go take a bio break. Okay. And do you have the power to let people on, or is that only me?
I think only you, as far as I know. I don't know if you can make an admin or something, but
Let's see.
don't worry.
Edit name.
I'll
I won't be long. I'll be right back. And then
I'll
maybe
just
Machine will hop on.
I'll just say a bunch of stuff against TOS real quick. I'm just joking.
Okay. Yeah. Talk about some of the groups or the team that you think they might all be a part of. And I'll be right back.
And I'll save my point for about that after. Yeah, but hello chat. Yeah, I don't really know who's involved or not. I just kind of naming the general groups that are out there because I know that they all have their own version of the same thing. And I think what Machine says, and I'm going to repeat this when Jeff comes back, I think the whole game and the biggest problem is the arbitration. You know, it's like everything is being arbitrated out in so many complex ways that it's basically impossible to really to really get any kind of firm grasp of where things are coming from and where they're going to and all that. And I think the more that you try to, the more that you're kind of inadvertently punished for trying to do such things. And I mean, maybe not so inadvertently, but it seems the more that you try to not obfuscate the level of arbitration, whether it's people doing it on purpose or not, people don't really tend to like having their delusions dispelled. And I think that's kind of the problem. And that's why, like, I don't say it's, I don't even really blame the Freemasons and all these people. It's like, it's kind of like the Ring of Power thing, like I don't even really like the Lord of the Rings, but I think that that's a great analogy. It's like, if you have this power over people, it's going to corrupt you. And what I was saying while you're gone, Jeff, and just the point I was going to say, I would say is like, whoever it is, I think the big battle is really about the arbitration, because the technology is a tool, it's a weapon, and anybody can use it, but certainly I think it's getting to the point where only a few people can use it, if that. And then I think also it's the Machine Lies, his mentor said a quote that's really stuck with me, which is that technology is a force of nature, just like a hurricane or the wind or water or anything like that. And so to pretend that you can just, play with a force of nature and it can't, destroy you, I think, is kind of foolish. And I would agree with that. I think we don't really know what it is that we're playing with at the end of the day. You know what I mean? And I think that, I certainly think that it's not wrong to mystify it and turn it into a boogeyman. I mean, I kind of prefer to think of it that way, but also when talking about it, I think trying to talk about it in that way is, probably not the best way to get your point across, because people are just going to tune it out and not listen. So, that's kind of where I'm coming from.
I'm thinking about technology being a force of nature. I can see it as an analogy or a metaphor, but forces of nature seem to act differently than technology, because technology takes human. Oh, here's Machine. Hello. What up? Paranoid chilling.
Yeah, that's right. That's how it's got to be.
What are you paranoid about?
Oh my God.
Oh.
So, yeah, that's the best way to be when you're also paranoid, otherwise you'll lose it, otherwise I'd be, drunk on the porch with a Bible and a gun, That'll be the direction that would go.
You think is that the accelerationism you talk about? Or are we just accelerating it all on our own?
That's deceleration.
We were talking about technology as a force of nature. Can you talk
yeah.
about that a little bit?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think there are several ways in which they operate in a similar sense. You know, I think first of all, the line is not so clear between technology and nature. You know, I think that animals make technology, you know, and I think that nature is a creative force, you know. So I think that nature, you know, anybody who doesn't think that nature can create things, well, if you're a believer in God, you believe in the creator, you know, so you believe that God created the world. If you believe in evolution, then you believe that nature is creative, because otherwise you have no answer to the problem of entropy, where information is completely dissipated. You know, new amounts of information are entering nature through a creative process called evolution, if we are to believe that there's no divine hand at work. You know, so you know, many people, like the people who discovered evolution to begin with, like Alfred Russel Wallace, you know, they assumed that this would have to mean that nature has some sort of sense of mind, you know, or some creative aspect to it. You know, well, that's just the stage one of just you know, I guess just animism, you know, or you know, just the most basic or primitive form of theology. I mean, you have available, and then philosophically speaking, it's a very modest form, you know, called deism. You know, and you see that highly, you know, you don't have to really say that, you know, God is even all powerful, you know, to accept deism or to accept animism. You know, you know, you could simply just say that nature has a power to it, you know, and then in a sense that we create technologies through nature. You know, well, technology is nature ordered nature. You know, it's only a second order of nature itself. You know, we're not really making anything new, we're sort of repurposing. You know, you know, so in that sense, you know, and the greatest form of repurposing is, of course, biomimicry. It's you know, the highest form of technology is mimicry of nature. You know, as we've seen, you know, forms of technology that seem to work with nature rather than against it seem to be highly preferable. You know, and seem to be have more efficiency. You know, and then I will go to a third sense, and this is a little more complex for people to maybe wrap their head around. But I think that nature creates that technology does the same thing that nature does, but it does it in reverse. Because nature seems to um, simplify means to a complex array of ends. Meanwhile, technology seems to complexify means in order to get to one end. So whereas technology seems inherently utilitarian, the goal of nature is to have intrinsic value in something. You know, so this is utilitarian versus intrinsic, but the way of exchange is the same, which is an ends to mean process in which one is complexified and the other is simplified. You know, so not only do they operate under the same laws, they operate under the same metaphysical scope, obviously, but they seem to operate under the same method, or you know, sort of movement from means to end processes. You know, but yeah.
What is the one goal of technology that it
Well,
aims?
that is type of I think the uh, first and foremost goal of technology. Well, technology imbues its own um, type of values. you know, and one of the main values of technology, and I think it stands to reason that it might be the top goal, you know, is efficiency. You know, so the goal of technology is efficiency, and the goal of improving technologies is the goal of making them more efficient. You know, you know, and it's not the same as the goal of science. So that's important to understand that the goal of technology is not the same as the goal of science. You know, and that presents another problem. you know, that means that whereas science and knowledge seem to be under human control, it's like Neuro said. Technology seems to be something foreign to, human control. The same way a state is not under human control, or a jungle is not under human control. In the same way, a technology that provides a artificial environment, sort of artificial needs, in which we engage through mediation, an environment in which we engage with we engage with nature itself through various technological means. So at this point, we don't have direct contact with nature. So and this is probably true for the common mass of humanity. So I think that there is a sense in which technology is something that not only hijacks human reason, but also hijacks nature. And in that sense, I think it constitutes a demonic force. Not a spiritual force. You may be conversant and familiar with spiritual forces. You may employ or be conversant with spiritual forces, but you would not want to be conversant with demonic entities or forces,
Well,
because
maybe.
well,
What so you don't think we have any, like, should we be fucking with it at all? Do you think we have any ability to master it or guide it or direct it? Or is
well,
it
that's the
always
thing.
gonna be a superior force to ours?
Well, that's the thing, and that's the same thing with the demonic realm, that we may gain power from it, but we will not be ultimately able to control it. So we gotta sort of ride the tiger, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
As the kind of symbolism
The
that,
devil's bargain.
yeah.
Hold on.
So
Gen,
that's sort of the thing, is that
Gen X Jeff.
you offer concessions to the technological system.
Hold on. What's happening? What
Yo,
happened?
what's up, Cecil fam? Yo, we're just playing old shit out here. But yeah. Because
Oh, okay.
my stream got shut. Yeah, my stream got shut down yesterday. I premiered some shit for the last hour of my shit and got shut down. So I just fucking came back on to do that shit. But yeah, dude, it's good to
They
see you
gave you
though.
a break or whatever?
Wait, what happened?
What happened? Did they take your stream from yesterday down?
It wasn't taken down. It was just too long. So yeah, so the shit just got cut short. But unfortunately, I couldn't find like the last hour of it. So they just never posted the last hour of it. Tragic. So whatever we did the last hour, we just lost that shit.
Huh.
Yeah, retarded. But yeah,
So the cutoff is like 12 hours then, I guess.
yeah, basically, yeah. Yeah, cutoff is like 12 hours. Yeah. Some shit, but yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, but we gonna be out here for a little bit longer. But yeah, we're just kind of just chilling for now. But yeah, I'm just playing this old video, Gen X Jeff. We talking about some shit. But yeah, we'll be back on in a minute. But yeah, if y'all, we'll get back into shit in a minute. But yeah, we'll let this play out for now. But yeah, thank you guys for being here, for real.
All right.
And it's just as if you know, if somebody could get you to do, you know, common lesser activities, then you know, they can kind of dupe you into believing greater lies, you know, and things like that. You know, I definitely see that people are not. I guess they're not really, you know, well, first of all, people are not really honest about how much they're obsessed with technology, how much they need it to live. You know, they'd like to think that they could be free of technology. You know, they'd like to think that you know, they have the option not to use it. You know, I guess once people see just how you know, pervasive the technological scope is, then they see that, well, the use of these things is not optional. Well, then at the very first instance, it evades any moral or ethical you know, form of scrutiny. You know, because if you say you know, if you say A, that there's no going back, and B, you know, you have no option whether to use or not use technology, you know,
Well,
and if
that was my question. Is there an alternative? Like you said, ride the tiger. Do we have a choice? Like we're stuck on the tiger now because we're not giving up technology anytime soon, right?
well, that is the kind of the understanding of, you know, the more you think you're free, the more you're able to be determined, because you're not aware of the ways in which you're actually enslaved. You know, so if you
I
could
don't
be
feel
taught to love,
enslaved.
well,
Except maybe
well,
by technology. I'm enslaved by streaming and Discord.
that's technology. If you've already admitted that you have no option whether to use it or not,
I mean, I
then
do. I can stop at any time.
right, but to what
But when you
end can
talked
you
about
stop?
stuff like bank accounts and job applications, just basic transacting business to function in today's
Exactly.
society.
Yeah, exactly. Basic transactions or functions. I mean, to live without that, I mean, you would have to teach yourself skills, you know. So you know, in order to fend for yourself, you in nature, you know, you would have to teach yourself skills. So you couldn't just go ahead and remove yourself from the technological society, you know, not at great detriment or risk to yourself. You know, so that
Yeah,
is the point I'm making. So ultimately what you're admitting is that you don't have a choice. Well, not having a choice, I hate to break it to everyone, but that's a form of being enslaved. You know, being forced to work to put gas in your car so that you can drive back to work. You know,
well, that
you know, which is what
in a
90%
way,
of
even
people are
there you
doing.
have choices. But that's like saying you're
Of course,
enslaved. Like the Gnostics thought you were enslaved by your physical body. That's like saying you're enslaved by the
of
limitations
course,
that
of course,
physical
of
body
course,
places
there.
on you as well. Within that
Of course, they have a
enslavement, there's
point.
a broad
They have a
range
great
of
point.
freedom.
No, they have a great point, and the point is familiar to because they want to create a antinomian version of of practice, but to do that, you have to go through the ascetic doctrine, you know, and you have to also declare that flesh and materialism is basically dead. You know, so in order to get to that second stage, to add on that extra thing that the Gnostics do, they have to get to that first stage, you know, and declare materialism to be dead. You
Well, good
know,
luck with that.
well, that's the thing. That's why they believe you can't create a utopia in this world. You know, they reject you know, technology more than I do because they reject all forms of utopian thinking. You know, they don't even think that you could create alternative technologies. They say the hell with the whole thing, the flesh and the world and everything in it. You know,
Yeah.
so you know,
I don't know where that leaves them.
it leads them to nowhere.
Sitting in caves, meditating, staring at their neighbor.
Well, trying to transcend the world through, blood orgies, and that sort of, double bind practices that the Gnostics used, kind of a mix of pleasure and pain to put yourself in an altered state, to transcend this reality. But that leads to this state of, why would you want to transcend this reality? Well, it's because you don't like nature. You think you're separate from nature, and that comes to the second concept that the Gnostics employ, which is a pseudo eschatology, in the immanentizing the eschaton, as they call it. Whereas Eric Vogelin, who studied Gnosticism, he came to some pretty rudimentary conclusions because he was studying it at a very early stage within European scholarship or whatever. But I think he still realized this concept, immanentizing the eschaton. That yeah. But
what people compare like stuff like transgender and even sometimes the woke as the modern day version of Gnosticism. Does that analogy hold?
No, because there would have to be a type of what they are is or what Crowley is a sort of, he's an extension of the Theosophical Society, which kind of rejected kind of Gnosticism. Well, the New Age movement is that grows out of sort of more theosophical and perennial roots. It's interesting because Gnosticism early on is a form of syncretistic religion, but it comes to a starkly different conclusion than Hermeticism or the New Age movement. The New Age movement is more based on Hermeticism and alchemy than it is on the Gnostic thinking. Which the Gnostics were more of a death cult, type of style. But the New Age movement, they're more of utopian, and this is basically the divide between them. But both of them don't like nature. They think we should transform nature. See, the New Age movement believes that our current stage is deficient, that we need to evolve. Well, the Gnostics would think as evolution as a continuation of the dance of death. So they would not encourage us to evolve in any sense. They would want to nip that in the bud, if you will. But but yeah, it's a stark difference between Hermeticism, which says the two are all that came. The two are all that there is. What comes to be and what makes it. That's from the Hermetic Corpus. But in the so creation or creativity and becoming and nature are like one to one. Nature has a transformative quality to it. So they believe more in Heraclitus, whereas the Gnostics would believe that nature is a mistake. It's an utter abortion in the making.
Yeah.
So you definitely shouldn't try to save it, because because it'll come and bite you in the ass. It'll trick you.
All you can do is free yourself from it or liberate yourself through the gnosis. And there's
Exactly.
this program on the left to liberate from the false creation of the patriarchy. So that's where I see some parallels as well.
Yeah, yeah. The parallel is where they both want to escape this world,
Yeah,
and they want
and
to
the
do
false
it.
consciousness versus the gnosis or the true consciousness.
Yeah, yeah, and the Gnostics want to do it through spirituality, and the transhumanists and the New Agers, they want to do it through technology and evolution.
Hmm.
So they both want to use secret knowledge in order to save humanity. It's just that one believes that this secret knowledge will come about through some light workers, and then they'll spread it through the rest of humanity, while the Gnostics believe that this will be given to a secret sect, and that they'll break away from humanity and liberate themselves, leaving the rest of humanity to stay in their hellscape. so so they
I
have a
wish we
different
could get on with
eschatology.
it. I'm as eager to be liberated from them as they are from me. They're due to
Yeah,
help you along.
yeah, amen. As they say.
Are any of these groups, because they sound kind of fringe and extremist, are any of them like worth worrying about? Are they?
They're totally mainstream. They're totally mainstream groups. I think they're totally at this point totally and this would be the divide between the I guess it exists in every religion at this point, because they almost run every religion. So you see in every religion, you see there's like a mystical type for the religion that's more perennial, that says it's like gonna meld with all the other religions. And then there's another type that's like more fundamentalist. So this so they actually forced every religion to be divided into two groups where it does this. So I think these groups are extremely influential because you could see their influence in almost every single religion. You know,
So each
uh,
religion has their version of this.
I think so. Or else there is no orthodox version of any religion. I mean, all religions at this stage are heterodox because look at how there's a fundamentalist faction and a mystical faction within every religion. Or at least if somebody wants to go and observe them from the outside, even in Islam, you have the kind of movement, you have this Sufi movement of these people who like read Rumi, and they want to say they're like the same, that Hinduism is monotheism and Judaism is monotheism, and we're all one big happy family. And then there's another side of Muslims that say, no, we have to make a Sharia law state. And Islam doesn't actually say either of these things. It doesn't say like its goal is either of these things, but that's what these two groups want to do. And it's the same thing in Christianity. You see in Christianity, you see people who want to run an ecumenical movement. And they want to bring all the different types of Christianity together under one big umbrella. And then you see another group who says, no, there's only one church. Since the beginning, there's only been one church. So they disagree. So there's this bifurcation in every religion. And it's not
Because they're made
caused
of
by
humans. That's what humans do.
maybe, but like two exact forms, one relating to the Gnosticism that I described, and one relating to the perennialism that I described. It's just like, one is a death cult and the other is a syncretistic, utopian, movement. And it just seems like how does that happen in every single religion? I just think it's not a coincidence.
That's what's interesting is the pattern that humans
Yeah, the pattern. Yeah, the
divide
pattern is.
into when they scale up to a large enough group. The
Yeah,
patterns that begin to form.
yeah, and I think it's not an accident. It's because that these groups are being controlled from the top down. You know, that's why there's similar patterns emerging. You
The
know,
top
or
being like supernatural, or
no,
could it
I
be
think that
bottom up through evolution, like
no,
just human nature
I think
sorting
it's
itself?
I think it's at the one end, you know, and I can lump everything into this one umbrella. You know, how I said that e- each side opposes nature and sees knowledge as a solution to nature. So they see human reason as a solution against nature. So I could draw a large group up and say okay, and then I could also draw a timeline, you know, and say that this change, you know, from this secular humanist kind of mode, you know, started maybe around the 16th century, you know, and progressed forward from there, you know, and that it's a you know, on the one end, you know, a religion of science or whatever you want to call it, you know, that's the ideology, and on the other end, it's a cultural technology. You know, it's a technology that is you know, as you know, this recent a person Pine Creek or whatever said in the debate with Andrew Wilson, he called himself a cultural Christian. Well, what the fuck does that mean? You know,
I take that to mean Christianity without actually necessarily needing to believe in the truth of it. Like, I'm a cultural Satanist. I don't believe in an actual Satanism, but I believe in all the trappings, the ethos, the aesthetics around it.
Right, and that's fine with Satanism, because Satanism is a metropolitan sort of a cosmopolitan sort of doctrine, you know, and it was made in cities. It's usually made by the educated people, you know, in the cities, and it comes to fruition through various types of people. But here we're talking about something that's deeply woven into you know, traditions, you know, and also to a system of values, you know, that is deeply theological, you know, in
But
any
can you
way.
have the values without the theology? I think that's what cultural Christian
I
would.
think
Isn't
yes,
Jordan
yes,
Peterson
I
one
think
who
you
will
can't
come
do it.
from?
I think you can't do it because that is not because you know, because essentially that is all or certain people would say that that is what this kind of new age thing kind of is, you know. It's like yeah, I think I have heard of argument from motion. um it's like
Well, we have a
Avicenna.
Christian on the panel, so Nero, I want to give you a chance to weigh in too if you want.
I
What do
mean,
you think of cultural Christianity
about well, I mean, the
or
only
anything?
the only thing I'll say really briefly on it is I think I lean don't walk in the road. I think I lean more where what Machine Lie says, because I think if you don't accept the metaphysics of Christianity, then you lose the whole thing. And I think it's really the metaphysics that's really the danger. I think people don't realize, like, your metaphysics directly impact everything else going on with you. You know what I mean? So that's kind of the most brief way I could say it. And the other question I would have is, Machine Lies, can you describe what the version of that in secular quote unquote thought would be? So, you know, like, so Jeff could see maybe perhaps the version that he's dealing of that between the Gnostics and the perennials, and within even something like you know, secularism. And I'm happy to answer another question, but my brief answer about Christianity is the metaphysics are really the core of the religion, just as much as all the other apologetic stuff, in my opinion. You know?
Well, I think you can't ignore the fact on one end, and I'll be very brief so that you can chime in too, Gen X Jeff. But you know, I think on the one end, it's you know, surprising to how Christianity unified the European tribes. You know, so these European tribes were, you know, there was the Picts, the Gauls, the Saxons, the Angles, you know, the Visigoths, you know, and you know, all of these different tribes, you know, the Scots, and you know, they all came together. They were all warring with each other. They were fighting with Rome. You know, Rome fell away. The same time Rome fell away, you have the spread of Christianity to Europe, thanks to Paul the Apostle. You know, and this coincides with the unification of Europe in quite the same way that in 7th century, Islam culminates in the unification of the Arab tribes. So this is just a notable achievement for both Christianity and Islam, just from a political or a historical perspective, because it totally shifts the political map of the world and the historical map of the world. You know, so I think that idea should not be discounted. But I think, secondly, I think the point that Neurojack made is powerful fact that Christianity does not make modest philosophical claims. If you had to stack up Christianity and Islam next to each other, Islam makes very modest philosophical claims. You know, you can say in Islam that you believe in one God, and where do you really go from there? You know, methodologically, after that, it's basically just atheism, because because how does God interact with the world? Well, he's exalted. You know what I mean? Right. So you can't compare God to anything that's happening in the world, yet God is closer to you than your jugular vein. So it's like a fucking mystery. You know what I mean? It's like the Tao Te Ching or something like that. You know, whereas Christianity, they make very stern philosophical claims. They bring in you know, terms like homoousia. They bring in the relation between the one and the many. You know, so if you had to say what Christianity is in terms of philosophy, Christianity is is accepting what Islam and Judaism say about one unknowable God, and then taking it further to explain how God creates through the logos and through the spirit and all of these things. So they're creating complex philosophical justifications for them, and this happens to be one only reason why this happens is because it is a European tradition, you know, meaning it's following the tradition that's coming from Rome, you know, which Rome itself is not European, but the Roman style of governance spread to Europe, you know, through Christianity, you know. So you know, but yeah, that's so I just think that that's interesting. So I would say in that sense, you know, Christianity is both cultural and not cultural. You know?
Well, and also the other thing is, I would say about cultural Christian, and again, I say this as someone who considered myself a cultural Christian for a long time, but I think, you know, the morality really doesn't make sense unless you take into account all the metaphysical and philosophical implications of it. Like the Trinity, for example, is kind of the whole thing, and like, unless you kind of have any grasp on the Trinity at all, which I didn't until very recently, then it's, you know, Christianity kind of loses all its meaning and all its grounding very easily, you know. And you know, that's just part of the, you know, part of the reason why for me it's become like very real all of a sudden. It's like I didn't really understand how, you know, Christianity doesn't really exist without the metaphysics, and I think it's I'm not, you know, that's why I'm kind of digging more into the past of how this ended up the case, because I'm not sure if that was always the case or is that like a later invention. I'm not quite all the way sure of that, you know.
Well, I'm sure there was some evolution to it, but I feel like I know many people, many non-believers that live more or less by Christian values without acknowledging the Trinity or any of the metaphysics of it. So I'm
Well,
very
what would
interested.
you say? Well, what would you say those values are, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, I don't know, things like kindness, compassion,
Well, those are just general golden mean, uh, principles. Even I think
Well,
the
they're
pre-Socratic.
parts of human nature, potentialities in human nature, but I
Yeah,
think there's
of
some
course,
that
like even Hindus.
Christianity fostered
Yeah, like
more
even
than any.
Hindus and stuff say like be nice to each other and all that kind of stuff.
Well, I guess in the West, there's certain modifications to human nature, and by modifications I mean it emphases on what got expressed and suppressed from Christianity that didn't exist or were not as mainstream before Christianity. Now, exactly what those are, I don't know if I could say right this second, but it seems like there's a Judeo-Christian tradition, morality specifically, and ethics.
Well, I think Jews and Christians express a starkly different tradition and a starkly different value system. And this can really be observed within European society. Where Jews and Christians have not got along at all. Throughout the years, but to a certain extent. I think the difference, or the main difference, would be, in the teachings of Saint Paul. If you look at the first thing that Jews reject, they'll reject the teachings of Saint Paul. And it's not just that; they'll reject certain of his value systems, as well. They'll cry out and say that he rejects the Torah, and certain of those things. Saint Paul will say that Jews who still want to follow the law and all of those types of procedures and things, and want to impose that on Gentiles, that they're actually not understanding the salvation that Christ offered to the world. So he's actually blaming them in a sense, for not understanding the message that Christ gave to Gentiles. If you look in Galatians, he blames Peter for setting up two sets of books. He says how can you, Peter, a Jew, force Gentiles to live like Jews? That's what he
Yeah.
says to him. So
Ask Christians the same thing. But I'm also thinking of things like the Ten Commandments, which is Judaic, but it got absorbed into Christianity, and it's passed on and taught through Christianity.
Not in all sects. If you read 2 Corinthians,
We grew up with, like most of the Christians I know follow it.
Of course, they accept the teachings of the Old Testament, but they also accept that there's a new covenant.
Love your neighbor as yourself. The golden rule, was that be a
well, that's
moral
just
principle that came from Christianity?
see, no, it didn't come from Christianity, because even that's an intellect of Confucius. So that see that to me is not a Christian value. Because that's too general to be a Christian value, because everybody and their mother believes that. Even the Greeks and the Confucians had that as their golden rule.
Did they have any concept like that?
Who?
The Greeks. I know they had the
Greeks. Yeah, the Greeks. Yeah, the golden rule comes from Greece. It comes from ancient Greece.
I'm gonna do my research on that. This is definitely the conversation that I want to have next time.
Yeah,
is
and it's also
what values are specifically Christian, and if there are
yeah,
any or
of
not.
course.
The
Well, I
values
would
we're
I would
talking
go
about,
to
like
well,
Ten
I would go to the
Commandments,
letters of
loving your
Saint
neighbor.
Paul.
St. Paul.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Like
I want to hear his vision of morality and ethics, because if what I'm
Right.
interested in is what can you found a society on currently, and these values seem like values that I would want in a society, but whether they're Christian or not, whether you need
well, you could imagine. Well, you could imagine the same values that he imbues on his church would be the same values he would want to imbue on society abroad. So when
What
he's
are some of those?
organizing these churches, he's telling the people in the churches to behave a certain way. He's telling them to uphold certain rules. He's telling them how to behave with one another in congregation. He's telling them the types of teachings he wants them to impart on each other, and he's even telling them how to organize their families. And what rules should exist in the family structure. So he's giving like all of these rules, basically just rules. He's saying, look, if you want to obey Christ, you have to live this way. And he finishes it off by saying in Corinthians 1:11, imitate me as I imitate Christ. So he's saying, look, do what I say because I'm doing what Christ says. so
According
so
to
you
him.
know yeah
Or
yeah I
according to
mean,
his version of Christ, rather. It's,
well, it's debatable, but every Christian takes Paul for granted. So there is no Christian group that I've seen or heard that says, okay, we reject the teachings of St. Paul.
yeah.
So
No,
so so if
I
we
would
want to
accept that.
understand, yeah, so if we want to understand what Christian values are, I first explain to people the teachings of St. Paul, who built the churches, because the churches follow Paul. So I would go to, and then he gives certain rules, like basically like strict rules, like I wouldn't say all of the things that Andrew Wilson says, but some of those things that he says, like for example, like that a man should rule the household, like that, like the women, like like for husband and wife, like the wife can't tell the husband what to do. Yeah, like that's part of St. Paul's
That's very
like whole thing.
tempting as a rule, but I don't know in the modern world. And didn't the Jews weren't they a patriarchal,
That's right.
organized patriarchally
That's
as
right.
well?
They were like that too. They were like that
And
too. I think that St. Paul was a little more liberal than them, but yeah.
I also separate values from rules. So he gave specific rules for how they should treat each other and interact with each other. But what are some of the values that he promoted around interacting with each other? Because that would be a good place to start.
Well, I think,
Like your relations with your fellow man, outside of the rules themselves, what values did he espouse or promote?
well, I think he told people, in a general sense, that they're flawed, that he himself is flawed, that all mankind is sinful, that you should have relations with those outside the church, but not hold them accountable as you do people inside the church. That inside the church, you should hold people to a very strict standard of morality. In that strict standard of morality, family is key. How you organize your family is key. And in that system, there's a totem pole or a hierarchy of authority, and the hierarchy of authority is God, then Christ, then men, then women, then children. And he thought that society should be organized along these lines too, with the church being the bride of Christ, and all people being one in the church and as the body of Christ. So I think that all of these are values that then he imparted. And also he said that salvation is now here for Jews and for Gentiles. So he said that salvation is now here for the whole world. So it was a world message. So I think these are notable achievements, or if you want to say distinct characteristics of his doctrine, that impart a key set of values, that I think that most Muslims, atheists, and Christians can't elucidate, and
You don't think
therefore
that's what I'm wondering, if they can be secularized for a multicultural, pluralistic society? Because some of them seem like they could be, like we're all flawed. Don't hold your out group to as high a standard as your in group. Respect whatever The hierarchy doesn't necessarily have to be organized along his lines, but have some respect for elders or mentors or people that guide you in life. So it seems like some of that could be exported into a secular society and be used
Well,
to some kind of ethical foundation to unify.
well, I think it has been. It has been
But it's breaking down.
the tension between individualism and collectivism that Paul presents, the tension between absolutism and universalism that Paul presents. I think it definitely forced the question, and Western philosophy had to deal with those issues, until it got to Hegel, and Hegel was dealing with this problem of universalism on the one end, that there's universal values, but also that there's absolute truth, or the thing in itself, in the Kantian sense, that he believed in this neo-Kantian version of truth, that he was still stuck along the same lines. He didn't progress anywhere. That these questions are fundamental, and that no, we won't progress from these, great questions. And actually, they, reappear in every age.
Mhm.
Of course, and that yes, the secularist has to answer these things as much as the co-religionists have to answer it for each other. And the co-religionists don't agree with each other on how to answer these things.
I think it's a good conversation to still be like good questions to still be having, especially today. So I do want to have more of these conversations. I want to give Jack one more chance to weigh in, and then I am going to have to wrap it up because P.F. Jung's thing's going to be starting at the top of the hour.
Yeah, and thanks for having me on. And this is the kind of conversation that I'm interested in as well. And the only thing I would like to ask again, because I think he did answer, but if Machine could just kind of briefly for myself, talk about the Gnostic versus perennial version within secular thought. I'd be curious to hear that. But otherwise, yeah, I'm just excited to participate in this kind of conversation and look forward to the next one. And thanks for hosting, Jeff, and Machine. I'll talk to you soon.
Oh yeah, well, I think we're talking about it more on our show, the Discordian and the accelerationist thing. But yeah, guys, tune in if you guys want to do it. I don't want to hold
Are
up
you
Jeff.
streaming tonight?
But yeah, no. My last stream got taken down because I played "Wake Up
Because
Everybody."
of the music, yeah.
Yeah,
I
because
worry
Soul
about.
Train.
That's why I don't play clips. Every time you play them, I'm wondering how you managed to.
Well,
evade the copyright.
it's because I play relatively unknown music. But then at the end, I played Soul Train, and that was just too much. But I tried to play it at the end. That's why I try to play at the beginning and the end, so I could just cut it out, But so it's easy to cut it out. But yeah,
What do you
I'll have to
do?
repost.
Do you clip it out and just repost it?
Oh yeah. I just
Okay.
clip it out and repost it, So yeah, so that works out for me. But yeah, I'll be reposting my old live stream sometime today, and then I'll reappear on Saturday. I do it Saturday and Tuesday for everybody that's out there, including Gen X Jeff. So you guys come by and check it out. But yeah,
Well,
you have a blessed day.
You too. It was wonderful to have you, and
of course I'll be
catch you on
back.
your next stream.
Of
And
course,
Jack,
yes.
same with you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, friend. It's always a pleasure talking to you.
You too.
Yeah,
You have a good Thursday.
Yeah, thank you. Have a good day.
Take care.
Dude, I'm trying to hold on to that stuff that I was all like, ooh, wanting to comment on like when I first got in. But that era that Rome had dissipated and then they're spreading Christianity in the Mediterranean area, like around that region. This is why I tell people didn't infiltrate Christianity. It's like, no, we have all those pagan leftovers, like the Christmas tree and and when we celebrate the holidays. That's because you were converting all those pagans to Christianity. That's what they were. If they weren't the Roman religion, what was it? Fucking, I can never remember what.
There is no
But
damn like Roman religion.
well,
It's
they
just
were
henotheism.
something.
Yeah, they just combined a bunch of
It was something. But if you weren't that, you were most likely
well,
a
the emperor.
pagan.
Well, the emperor was God. You know, it's God emperor. You know, they changed it several times,
Mhm.
but yeah, a part of the cult of Rome was the God emperor. Yeah, and also mixed in with
Listen, man.
henotheism. You know what?
Oh
You know
no,
what henotheism?
what is it?
Tommy, henotheism.
Say it again. No, I
Henotheism.
mean, I've
It's like
Keno.
yeah, it's like when you conquer a bunch of people and then you incorporate their pantheon into your system of gods. So it's like boom, you
Okay,
just like
that happened a lot. Yeah,
subsume that
yeah.
shit. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so yeah, there's
Yeah,
actually a
because with
fancy word.
tribes, it used to be like you killed off all the adults in the war because they're gonna war or they're gonna win or die, and then you just convert the children. Like the winning tribe just takes in the children and either absorbs what they find valuable or just converts the
That's
rest.
right. That's right. But yeah, what you got on your mind, Tommy? I only got like not that much time left here. But yeah, I'm gonna close it up.
Okay, I got the
Next 5
whole
minutes.
house.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
only
that's
reason
cool.
is because this is just a continuation of yesterday's stream. So if anybody wants to see what happened, it was yesterday's stream got cut off at the end because I went longer than 12 hours and I didn't know that you can't post a video that's longer than 12 hours. So it's a
Yeah,
legendary
and
13-hour stream that I did, but the last
right.
part of it, for some reason, just didn't get recorded. Even though it said it was recording, it didn't post the fucking content. So
No, it does. That's the thing. You could go like one time. Peniel left his stream going like for days just to make it like a record, quote unquote. But yeah,
yeah,
after the 12 hours, you can't.
yeah,
It
just
won't
cut
stay
that
up.
shit off. Yeah, so it just
And
just
I think I said some good shit in one of Beck's streams. Bex, if you're still in the chat, was I talking to Phil on that stream that went over 12 hours? Is that gone?
gone. Yeah, the shit is
Man,
gone. Like there, like it's
yeah.
like maybe somebody has a recording of it, but yeah, that shit is fucking gone. Like this shit has disappeared. So
It would
whatever
have to be
interaction
like
we had,
it would be like if someone got there after the start and was restreaming you, like that would salvage things, yeah. If something like
oof,
because that's what
fucked up.
Peniel
Yeah.
used to do. He was always restreaming wherever he went, so he would have recordings that the stream he was on might not have. Yeah, I wanted to say something else off of what you guys were talking about, but it's been a minute. I'm trying to remember what it was.
I just wanted to hi Machine Lies. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Yeah, blessed to meet you too, Bex. Yeah, thanks
Yeah.
for being here. And
Thanks
I'm
for-
only gonna be here for like 5 more minutes, but
Yeah, I just wanted to tell you what I learned about StreamYard, and I'm not an expert at it, and I did lose tons of my extra content, which is I'm a little bit all or none. I did a 27-hour stream, and I lost 15 hours of it, right? And
yes.
I
Oh
was
my
just-
God, I can't believe that. Oh my
And
God,
I
I
honestly-
wish I wouldn't have done that before I knew. So yeah,
But I'll tell
good
you,
Lord.
I'll tell you how from what I understand how it works. I don't know if you have to have the paid package, okay? But I bought the paid package right off the bat. Gives you 50 hours of memory. Now,
Yeah,
as
that's what
soon
I
as
have.
you,
That's exactly what I
Yeah.
have. Yeah.
as soon as you get into
hold
the
on. But hold on, man. Bex, I know you mean well, but that stuff's all written in there, and I don't want to lose this 5 minutes to reviewing
Okay,
it.
I can.
Because Gen
Yeah.
X Jeff, I came up here thinking that was a live stream, and whenever you popped me in on the side, like to see it, like I was hosting it, that tripped me out, man. I thought you guys were live up here. But Gen X Jeff, I agree. My whole thing in the past 5 or 6 years of my life has been trying to find that line where it's like, well, where would religious people and atheists and all different walks agree on that typical line, like without having to stand on my
Next fill
Bible
out, I
or
think it's because we don't have that much time. But yeah, Bex, if
Yeah,
you
shoot
wanted
on
to
that.
come back and tell me what you wanted to say, I'm more than happy to oblige with that because I know
she
time
is right about the
Yeah, okay, here
tiers
we
of
go.
payment, but I know
Here,
that's
hold
also
on.
in the
Hold on real quick, Tommy. I'm gonna bring you back up, but let me get Bex in real quick, and then I'll get you in a second.
You leave me up.
Just 1 second, bro. 1 second,
I
because
don't know why
I'm
she
talking
left.
to her for the first time. Yeah, just give me 1 second. Yo, what's up, Bex? Yeah, you go
Hi.
ahead and finish what you were saying.
Okay. Yeah. I'm sorry. I appreciate this, but I really
Yeah,
don't
no
want to cut
worries.
into Tommy's time. I really, but yeah.
No,
So
no worries. Yeah.
what I understand is that basically it'll start taking away from your 50 hours if you're not monitoring how you're saving things on StreamYard, right? So what you want to do is as soon as you've made a stream, you want to put it on your YouTube, download it, and not leave it in your StreamYard memory, because once you hit the 50 hours, so say you have a 40 hours used, right?
Yeah.
40 hours used and you go do a 15-hour stream, it's
Yeah.
only going to allow you to take 10 hours, but it'll do 12 hours of that
Yeah.
stream. And then it'll start taking from the end of another stream, cutting them off at 12 hours immediately, you know? So
Oh shit.
yeah, you see what I'm saying? So don't keep things stored in
Okay.
StreamYard. You want to store them other places, or else StreamYard starts docking time.
Oh my god, I thought Gen X Jeff was on the panel, but this is just that's just a screen. I was like, oh shit. I was like, whoa. He's like showed up. I was like, oh.
So I'll put my email in the back for you so I don't so I don't take up any more time of that you guys need here to just finish up what you were doing from last night.
No worries, and I'd love to have you on the panel. I usually do a panel on Tuesday night and Saturday night. So if you want to come on back on Tuesday night or Saturday night. I'd love to have
Okay.
you here. But yeah, this
Okay.
was just really impromptu. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I just happened to be in here, so I just wanted to say that. And I
Thank
will hop.
you.
Yeah.
Bless
Thank
you.
you, and
God
I'll see you
bless
soon. Blessings to you too.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Bye,
Yeah.
friend.
Nice to meet you. Yeah.
Nice to meet you too.
Yeah, and thank you so much for restreaming me, guys. The other day, I saw you and Benton were restreaming me. So, man, you guys are the champions of the machine lives. You know, we got Tommy here. Tommy, go ahead, man. The floor is all yours, dude. You go ahead, bro. What you got
Oh
to
yeah,
say?
and if you ever see me and Bex shooting the shit over at her place, come on up. Because I've been stopping by there a lot of late nights whenever like if I'm going to bed or something and I realize she's on, which she is a lot. I'm well known for popping in and saying, Bex, shut it the fuck down. Shut it the fuck down. But yeah, man, don't hesitate to go come over there too. But Destroyer, I mean, it's okay because I panel here all the time. I was a little concerned to show up and see you with a wrench in this chat, because I don't think Machine Lies knows you're a fucking insane person yet. But all you got is this Tommy and Sybil don't go
We're not
together.
gonna
Hey,
talk shit about people who aren't on the panel.
no.
But
This
yeah,
is they've
but
been
yeah, it's
chasing
all
me,
cool
dude.
though.
They've
But yeah,
been
we
chasing
love Destroyer out here, and it's all good. But yeah,
Well,
Destroyer's incredibly intelligent. The reason is
Well,
because Destroyer showed their intelligence yesterday when we were talking about psyops and different issues. So I was like, whoa,
and what did she
Destroyer's
say?
super smart, huh?
What did she say?
About
Because I mean,
well, first of
I'm
all, I
sure
don't
you
know if
can
it's a
be.
her or because I don't know
It's a
who
her.
anybody is.
A dude wouldn't
Yeah,
be
well,
that.
she's I mean, for a woman, I mean, she's incredibly intelligent. You know,
But she
I
also
think, and
is as
for sure.
emotional as a woman, because all she does. There was
Yeah,
a time.
I don't even know. I don't even know girls that know anything about Esalen Institute or anything like that. But yeah, that's a super
Oh,
intelligent.
I'm sure if I guess a person can be intelligent and just be irrational
Yeah,
in their
but yeah, what do you got
their
to say
deep.
about the issues? Because I gotta wrap this shit up. Because I really
Yeah.
ain't sleep last night either. But
Okay,
yeah,
I
what
said
you
the
got to
Jeff
say?
thing. I said the fucking Piggin thing.
Yeah, that
This
was
is what
smart.
sucks, man. I should have been writing points down. I didn't know how long that was gonna go. Are you gonna
No.
continue that? That's like a part one of the discussion.
Continue
What we
what?
watched, like that discussion. Did you say something about you guys are gonna continue that, or maybe I just heard something else overlap?
Well, I'm just gonna continue on those topics in general, as I did on the last 3
Okay.
streams. I'm also gonna
Yeah, I might
premiere
have
episode.
to. I might rewatch it and jot some notes down because
For
there
sure.
was something else I wanted to touch on. I just can't remember. It's not a big deal.
Oh yeah, jot those notes down. Last 3 episodes, you know, I covered the same topics: right wing links to accelerationism, the occult,
Yeah, I was eating one of.
transhumanism, yeah, all that shit. Yeah, and also right wing, you know, the new right wing, Eurasianism, and also Duganism. I covered all these topics, over the past few streams. Yeah, jot some notes down and come back and have a good discussion with me. You're welcome anytime.
Yeah, because when
And
I got here,
so
I
is
was
it. Yeah.
eating, not thinking, not thinking about it. All right, man. I'll
Yeah, and
catch
so
you.
is everybody on the panel. Yeah, for sure. Thank you, Tommy. And
Wait,
same with everybody on the panel.
you told Bex what, Tuesdays and Saturdays?
Tuesday and Saturday. That's right. Tuesday and
Okay.
Saturday, usually starting at 7, somewhere around 7 to 9. It's tentative times, but usually Tuesday night, Saturday night, I'll start a panel. You guys hop on, tell me what you think. And if nobody hops on, I'll continue with the topics that we discuss here. I have lots of notes on those topics, technology, accelerationism, Discordianism, the far right, the far left, the new age, Gnosticism, transhumanism, technology, blah, fucking blah. You guys know the deal already.
Hey,
We're
I
gonna
might,
have,
do you get notified whenever you get an email?
yeah. No, I don't
Okay.
get notified, but I eventually see it. But yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
might hit you up tomorrow. I've been meaning to just try out a stream on my phone to see if it'll hold up, just to use the free hours since they just disappear anyway. So I might hit you up to see if you just want to pop in and let me know if it's
Yeah. Yeah,
on
for
there.
sure. Yeah, if anybody wants to invite me on the streams, send me an email, send me whatever. I'll connect with you guys eventually. And you guys are welcome to hop on the panel. Machine Lies episode 8 should come through this week. It's going to be about main topics in technology, the key thinkers in technology. We're going to cover 3 main thinkers: Henrik Skolimowski, Ted Kaczynski, and Jacques Ellul, with Dr. Skrbina. And sadly, some of the part of the audio was destroyed, but we put subtitles there for you guys, and we'll reproduce this content. Anytime our content here gets destroyed, we'll be able to reproduce it because we have the information on file. So there's no problem for us to reproduce this content, tell you guys what we thought another time. And if you guys have questions or comments about anything we have presented, we can answer any of those queries.
I just remembered the other thing.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, go ahead.
Does Gen X Jeff look like fucking Super Dave Osborne, or who do I think he looks like?
Super Dave Osborne?
Yeah, I think he might look like Super Dave Osborne, but it might be somebody else I'm forgetting that he looks like. But he looks like somebody. I'm going to figure it out.
Yeah.
I see you, Gen X Jeff. You look like some famous person or a familiar person. I'm going to figure it out.
Well, we're going to let this run for just a little bit more. But yeah, thank you for joining us, Luma Tommy. Thank you for everyone in the chat. Thank you, Cecil Drake, for this, effect here. Also, I think that might be his. Yeah, blessings to everyone who was able to make it. Thank you, JG, for hopping up here and having time with me again. And thank you to all the people in the chat here. Blessings to all you guys who made it out here for this impromptu stream. Man, I didn't know so many people would make it for this impromptu stream. But yeah, I'm gonna be back in a day. So you guys, sit tight. I'll be back in a day.
Oh, but I want to
don't miss me too much.
Let me do this house cleaning real quick. I wasn't saying nothing about Truther with the handsome truth footage. That's just what he was showing when he was saying the dialogue I used, and I didn't think to put something over it because I.
Oh, you're talking about your premiere yesterday.
Yeah, it just had handsome truth because he was on the screen at those points that I used from Truther's show. But
yeah, JG was on for 1 minute. But yeah. Anyways, you guys have a blessed one, guys. Okay. Yeah. Thank you for joining.
I don't have a hole, Destroyer. I don't have a hole. I was just saying, TC's not a Nazi. Jesus.
Okay, dog. We out of here. Have a blessed one, guys. And yeah, thank you guys. I'm gonna let this play for 5 minutes, and then I'm gonna end the stream. And I'm gonna start the stream next time with some of this discussion from Trad Culture. So yeah, let me get on Trad Culture's channel here, so I could drop the link for my brother here, and that'll be fine for you guys. And you guys check out this channel. Please subscribe to Traditional Culture Preservation Society. Please subscribe to Destroyer. Please subscribe to Gen X Jeff. Please subscribe to Neural Jack. for more exciting conversations. Bless you guys. Bless you guys here. And I'm going to play a little bit of this, play some music. And if you guys want to check it out, you guys are free to. And then you guys have a blessed night. I'll be here on Tuesday, which is technically tomorrow, unfortunately. But yeah, I'll be back on Tuesday, friends. Thank you.
If not, I can continue to pontificate using this study I did, using this paper. So, what is what is an adaptive alternative to our society? Well, I've talked about many over the course of my years and years, mostly being an unknown lurker on various internet forums, but more recently as the custodian of this channel. Well, if you want to get an idea of what are some societies that have figured out how to deal with the issue of love and romance in a more positive, adaptive way, you know what? Actually, let me stop the screen share for a moment. Let me find the famous Rosenblatt study from the 1960s. Hold on a sec. I gotta make sure I don't get doxxed while doing this, though. Okay, I'm gonna get doxxed while doing this, so I better just bring you on Machine Lies. Howdy, how's it going?
What's up, brother?
Not a lot, just chilling here on a Friday night. How about yourself?
Same here, brother.
Is there anything that's on your mind? Anything notable?
Well, in regards to the topic, I think I think there's fascinating connections in terms of the topic, and I think you're right on the money in terms of there's a delicate mix of having a male have certain responsibilities, a certain patriarchal structure to the society, but also letting the females control the courtship, rituals, and all that type of stuff, and the culture of infatuation that's really missing, the romance, that's missing in the modern age. It
Yeah.
does seem to, of course,
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. It's like we have this obsession with a romantic ideal that's not actually actualized and realized in reality. It's very strange because if you look at like many of these other societies in the world, like we're actually not the most romantic society on earth by a long shot, and we
yeah,
think
that's
we are.
right. Yeah.
We're not. Like unfortunately, because it looks like JSTOR is going to dox me, so I can't actually screen share. But but I'm looking right now. I'm searching it up. There's a famous study from the 1960s. You can find it as well on JSTOR if you have a JSTOR account, or if you're just like me and you just have figured out how to game the system on JSTOR. By Paul C. Rosenblatt from Ethnology from the journal Ethnology from October 1967. It's called Marital Residence and the Functions of Romantic Love, and it's describing at a societal level. So the top most romantically oriented societies in the world are Nuer, which is a people in East Africa. They're Nilotic people. Rainy River Ojibwa, which is a Native American tribe, an Algonquin people. Aleut, who are related to the Eskimo or the Inuit. Semang, who are a Orang Asli, an indigenous people in Malaysia. Yagan, who are indigenous people in the far southern tip of South America. Kikuyu, who are also from East Africa. Mongo, who are also from, I think, West Africa. Trobriand Islanders, who are from Melanesia. Tuareg, who are nomads of the Sahara Desert. Iban, who are from the Philippines. Rawala, who are Bedouins from the Arabian Desert. So those are the and the Chaga people who live in Tanzania. So those are actually the most romantic societies on earth.
Yeah, and I think that trend aside, he's got a good point there about the Disney movies. And Disney had this Masonic kind of overlay to his whole movies and stuff, and he kind of platonized love in this way, and had this kind of understanding of love, kind of creating your own destiny and love at first sight, and kind of this soulmate kind of concept. And
yeah, it was very.
I think that
I remember like just some of those, like especially the older Disney movies. It's like it was just kind of ridiculous. It was just almost like the Prince Charming character was like had zero personality. He was literally just like a what they call a Gary Stew. Like
in
just
the
like,
recent in the recent Frozen movie, the guy's just like a simp. The male character is just a
yeah.
simp, and then the whole female character is going through this alchemical transformation.
I've not seen that movie. I've seen like the older Disney movies. I think I watched Frozen once years ago, and I remember nothing about it.
Yeah, I had to sit there and watch it with my niece, and I was like, "Whoa, this is like watching like it's like black magic and shit."
Oh, dang. Well, I just know it's got that one song that like you never can escape.
Yeah, you can't escape it when the little girls are there. They want to sing that song. And say, "No, shut up. Turn the TV up and you shut up." That's how they act. Yeah.
Dang, yeah, I don't know. I didn't realize. I mean, I know that there was. I mean, there's all sorts of like weird crap in Disney. If you look at like Walt Disney himself, he was a Nazi sympathizer. He was a Freemason. He had all kinds of problems. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if any sort of like weird shenanigans were going. And because of his cultural power, like he was such an important cultural figure that he pretty much shaped the entire of humanity. Pretty much any generation that grew up with Disney, it profoundly affected their mind.
Yeah, I heard that the whole the story The Lion King is actually the story of Horus and Set. It was like one of the brothers betrays the other one. And it's like this whole it's like a remake of the Egyptian tale.
Oh,
It's just
wow.
yeah, it's like the symbolism of Egyptian magic is like hidden into the subtext of the movie itself.
Was that the movie that like there's all these stories that like they had the word sex was written?
That's right. That's right. They try to brainwash people with they put subliminal images in, and that might have a lot of things to do with what we're experiencing. Is subliminal programming through the porn and all that type of stuff. And
Oh, here's an interesting comment. Fantasia is literally a neophyte initiation for children into the mysteries. The only thing I remember about, because I saw that when I was a kid, the only thing I remember about that movie is like there was this one part that was like incredibly like LSD druggy. Like it was like they're playing a song and all of a sudden they go into this like really trippy hallucination scene, and there was no way that they were not on drugs when they were making that.
Well, it's this whole metaphor about creating something that recreates itself and then becomes your worst enemy, like creating your own worst enemy, because of course it's based on the Sorcerer's Apprentice, you know. So it's actually a metaphor for technology. I think the actual Sorcerer's Apprentice is Goethe, you know, the German poet, you know. And of course,
Oh,
yeah,
well, that's actually an interesting point.
yeah, he's like, yeah, he like talks about like, you know, all this like kind of Mephistophelian, you know, stuff. Obviously, his most famous work about Faust.
Yeah, the Faustian bargain. Because now I think
Yeah,
about it, yeah,
exactly.
the Sorcerer's Apprentice. It's like
That's
Mickey
right.
Mouse. He uses a little bit of magic and he ends up ruining
That's
his
right.
life.
That's right. That's right. So it's portraying. So it's actually a metaphor for technology there too, because of course you know, you put into motion something that you can't control. You know, it's a metaphor for magic, as magic is a metaphor for technology itself. You know, which has often been seen. You know, they say any sufficiently any sufficiently developed technology is indistinguishable from magic. I think that was like Arthur C. Clarke who said that, you know. So
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm gonna bring Neurojack in just a second, but yeah, I guess that makes sense because when you think about really what magic, both white and black magic, what it ultimately is like humans sort of attempting to empower themselves using the things around them. Magic essentially is humans, the natural becoming the supernatural, the humans attempting to become more than human in a sense, and technology
yeah,
and transhumanism could be seen as more just a high tech version of that.
and that's why it's always based on a hijacking of the fertility rights. You know, they have to invert the fertility rights, use the fertility rights as a form of bargaining the gods in order to gain a harvest or something like that. You know, because they use the fertility rights in order to use either like virgin blood or period blood to like use it for the soil to like appease the god so that they would grow like special food and stuff. So the land is mixed with the forces of nature, is also mixed with the fertility rights. You know, so they have
Neurojack, you're in the stream now, in case you didn't know.
Yep. So yeah, we'll continue with that next time. Some of that commentary, and we'll represent some of these issues here. So bless you guys for sticking around and having a good time with me to try to put these issues here for you guys. And pretty soon we're gonna have this special here, you know, for SEAL Team 666. You know, I think our friend Enslaved by Truth fell asleep tonight, but please go and subscribe to Enslaved by Truth. But we were gonna restream some of this, but then he ended up not doing it today. But yeah, you know, we're gonna have Enslaved by Truth do this special soon, so look out for that, guys. So bless you guys. SEAL Team 6 special. You know, he's a hardworking dude. You know, he's got to come. You know, he's got kids and stuff. He's got to come work on all this shit, fucking tractors and drills and shit. The shit that EBT gets into. You know, crazy technology this dude works with. Robotics, advanced robotics. But yeah, you know, we got real lives out here. You know, in addition to bringing you guys this information. So we do appreciate you guys being here with us. And you know, we'll leave you with some music as always, you know. And I think you guys will appreciate some of our tracks. Please have a blessed one, guys. I hope you appreciated some of the topics we covered here.
As we move forward, anytime you come closer to something, your vision should get clearer. Am I right? You are a tool in the hidden hand that's using you. Please don't be delusional. The rulers of this world practice confusing you. The people and the priests and the imams have been jammed by government scams, minds systematically programmed. Blatant black hatred and racism. The way they lace the whole world and nation with traces of Satanism. This place is a pagan prison. The founding fathers enslaving intentions were no different than Bush's and Reagan's visions. 1776 it took action. This Illuminati took form and was spawned from a Colombian faction. Just flip your $1 bill over, and if you want me to expose the true code of deception, I will show you. We live in a designed wicked system. The number 13 is consistent in Masonic symbolism. It represents transformation. 12 completes a cycle, so 13 is rebirth and regeneration. The meanings of the symbol are strategically hid. On the left side, you see a 13-layered pyramid. Over that sits the all-seeing eye where the light shines, a sign of the devil watching over you at all times. With the words Anna with Coeptus, 13 letters meaning he has favored our undertakings. Will you accept this? Or will you learn the science and ignore them? Under the pyramid you see Novus Ordo Seclorum. Translated, New Order of the World, or the New World Order. Authors and satanic fathers of mass slaughter. The eagle that you see on the right sits below 13 stars with a shield that has 13 stripes and an olive branch in its claws with 13 leaves, which is supposed to be in its talent to represent peace. But peace was always on a decrease. His other claw holds 13 arrows of war set to be released, and the letters at the bottom of the pyramid are fixed with the Roman numerals that equal 1776. The United States of America exists in a deep devilish abyss with truth and paganism mixed. Every president that ever lived was foul. They gather at Bohemian Grove where they bow down before the owl. See, the owl is wise and sees through the darkness of night, and there's a small one on the dollar near the one on the top right. It ain't hard to understand this government was never for us. The eagle was based off of the Egyptian hawk Horus. The 13 colonies who went to wicked sovereignty and made no apology for the obvious idolatry. Subconsciously, we follow the ways of the beast and pay homage to pagan gods when we say days of the week. Like Sunday, they worship the sun. Monday is moon day. Tia, the god of war, was worshipped on Tuesday. Odin, the chief god, is who Wednesday is named for. Thursday is Thor's day, god of thunder, the mighty Thor. Friday was named after Frigga. Notice the pattern. Saturday is the Roman god of agriculture, Saturn. Frigga was the goddess of love, the wife of Odin. The polytheistic theologies needed decoding. The rituals like trips across the sand as man takes. The skull and bones fraternity, the secret handshakes. But understand, he receives only 33 degrees. He secretly believes in Lucifer and other deities. Many powerful and rich people are controlled by these. They even hold the soul of several of your favorite MCs. Politicians telling lies, tongues riddled with thorns, and use hand gestures shaped in the form of devil horns. You don't feel this any harm because you don't know what it entails. Satan tampers with stem cells and sprays chemtrails. The so-called holidays are hypocrisy, established to use religious doctrines to commit annual robbery. Christmas split in half is Christ's Mass, the so-called birth of Jesus, where every home has glowing lights cast. Christ the Anointed One masked the birth celebration, but Jesus' birth was kept secret due to the situation.
That's gonna be it for us, friends. You know, we're gonna play another song for you guys. And we got, you know, the lights with motherfucking Cecil out here. So we're gonna have Cecil out here too for this last shit. You know what I mean?
Come up, ball of fire. Come up, Hare Krishna. Come up, ball of fire. Come up, Hare Rama. Hello, Hare Krishna. Hello, baby Krishna. Come up on the top, Hare Krishna. Come up on the top. Hello, Hare Krishna. Hello, baby Krishna. Come up on the top, Hare Krishna. Come up on the top, Hare Krishna. Fire, 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 your land and town. Fire, fire, come on the ground. Fire, fire, your land and town. Fire, fire from underground. George Bush will not burn it. Tony Blair will not burn it. Queen Elizabeth, you will not burn it. Prince Charles will not burn it. Hare Krishna wheel is turning. Baby Krishna wheel is turning. Hare Krishna wheel is turning. Baby Krishna wheel is turning. 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 Come up, ball of fire. Come up, ball of fire. Come up, Hare Krishna. Come up, Hare Rama. Hello, Hare Krishna. Hello, baby Krishna. Come up on the top, Hare Krishna. Come up on the top. Hello, Hare Krishna. Hello, baby Krishna. Hare Krishna. Baby Krishna. The bishop, party on fire. Pope, party on fire. The royal family, party on fire. The House of London, the party on fire. Hello, Hare Krishna. Down your tongue. Hello, baby Krishna. I look up in the sun. Hello, Hare Krishna. Hello, baby Krishna.
Twice I turned my back on you. I fell flat on my face but didn't lose. Tell me where would I go? Tell me what led you on, I'd love to know. Was it the blue night, gone fragile? Was it about the man in wonder steady going under? Was it the light waves so frightening? Was it a two wheels when the mirror holding the steering wheel? Thought I had an answer once, but your random way swept me alone. Colossal sign, so I got lost with so many lovers singing songs. Was it the blue night, gone fragile? Was it about the man in a wonder steady going under? Was it the light waves so frightening? Was it a two wheels when the mirror holding the steering wheel?